Texas Stadium, Irving, Texas, on a night following perhaps the most important political debate in many, many years. There's a sellout crowd expected to watch a game of pro football. Such, I suppose, is the nature and the flexibility of our country. And tonight, an important game as Dallas tries to stay with St. Louis and Washington in the NFC East. New Orleans within range of San Francisco in the NFC West. This ABC Sports exclusive is being brought to you by Computer, a business computer that's everything you would expect from NCR. The Dallas Cowboys, their 25th anniversary, their silver anniversary. They have an honorary captain for each of their games this season. Our colleague Don Meredith is down on the field right now. 9 years he played, and I'll tell you, he's got the scars to prove it. They were the building days, the franchise expansion days. And being welcomed by the Cowboys of 1984. A struggling Cowboy team. There he is, right out of SMU. Fresh, smart, bright. Didn't know whether he wanted to be a lawyer or a minister. So he settled for the booth. 9 years. He took the Cowboys to their first 2 NFL championships. And he is quite a piece of work. Hello again, everyone. I'm Frank Gifford, and along with Don, we'll be working with O.J. tonight, watching the Dallas Cowboys 4-3, tried and stay with Washington and the St. Louis Cardinals in their division. While the New Orleans Saints, they are really struggling. But one of the interesting aspects of this game for me tonight, there will be 3 Heisman Award running backs performing on this field tonight. Tony Dorsett, of course, for the Dallas Cowboys. Well, he's an exceptional player. He is back on stride again with 2 good games in St. Louis and against Washington last week, even though they were in losing efforts. And for the New Orleans Saints, they got the baby Bulls, the big Bulls, if you will. They have Earl Campbell acquired in a recent trade, and, of course, they have the great George Rogers. The man who sets that record for a season's rushing record of 2,003 yards, O.J. Simpson. Tell us a little bit about these 2 backs, O.J. They are really something, and the same backfield.
Well, I don't think you'll see them much in the same backfield. Of course, there's not enough footballs in New Orleans to give them both the ball, and neither one of them have been noted as great blockers in the past. But it should be exciting when you add to the fact that you're looking at 2 of the worst defenses in football and their ability to stop the run. As a matter of fact, New Orleans is last. They're 28, and the Cowboys aren't much better. They're 2 places higher. They're 26. But when you have big names on the field, there's normally some other player who steps forward and becomes the star. My choices tonight would be Hokie Guyjon, number 46 of the New Orleans Saints. He's averaging over 6 yards a carry, and he's had a habit of making big nights on Monday night. And on the Cowboys, I would say Tony Hill, number 80. He's been out with a shoulder injury. He has a hip problem, but if he can loosen up that hip, I expect him to make some big plays here tonight. Dorsett, Campbell, Rogers, Frank, I think they're ready to run, so why don't we get them started?
And here's a man who is ready. Bum Phillips has always kept this game in perspective during his 7 years with the Houston Oilers and now in his 4th year with the New Orleans Saints. And here's a man, the only coach the Cowboys have ever had. You've heard it so many times. Second winningest coach in the history of the NFL, trailing only the legendary George Halas. But he's struggling this year, as are the Houston Oilers. There was the first controversy that was generated here in Dallas and has been building for over a couple of years. This man came up in 1980, didn't throw a pass in 80 and 81. 82, he performed well in a playoff game against Washington, and Tom Landry decided to start him at the beginning of the season. That did not set well with a lot of Danny White fans. Richard Todd, a #1 draft pick, was traded to the New York Jets to get this man. And then last week, he started, and all of a sudden, Bum Phillips went against everything he had ever preached about having one quarterback. The second series, he brought in Kenny Stabler. The third series, he brought Todd back. He alternated through the entire first half. Some interesting aspects to this game. The Cowboys, to your left, ready to receive. Gary Allen is deep, and it'll be Morton Anderson to get things underway. From Texas. And McSwain out over the 25 near the 28-yard line, taken out of bounds there by Jimmy Rogers. And out comes Gary Hogeboom. I told you he opened the season replacing Danny White. All Danny White had done was taken the Cowboys to the NFC title game 3 out of 4 years. Hogeboom had his best game of the season in a game we called for you against the Rams, our opening Monday night game. In that particular game, he was spectacular, over 300 yards, 343 to be exact, a touchdown, and he was victorious. But it has been a struggle. The Cowboys have lost their last 2. On 1st and 10, Tony Dorsett over the left side, losing and creeping as he does so well, and then accelerating as he gets out over the 35-yard line for a gain of about 6. Defensively, the Saints are hurting. Derlin Moore, their fine nose tackle, has been trouble all year long with ankle and knee problems. Bruce Clark also has had trouble over the defensive left end position. There are your linebackers. So we should see a lot of changes tonight for both teams. The Cowboys seem to think that it's their offensive line, and it has been troubled indeed by many injuries. We'll elucidate those for you a little more into the game. Right now it's 2nd down and 4. Hogaboom back and looking and fires a shot over the middle that Tony Hill holds on to. You talked about him in the opening, O.J. He makes a difference.
Yes, he does. He certainly will help them loosen up this defense somewhat. The defense have been much maligned for their inability to stop the run. And I think they're thinking about it. They actually had a cornerback blitzing on that play. And as you see, Tony Hill runs a relatively safe pattern. A little turn in here. Had a little trouble grabbing the ball, but he's been rusty. He's been out for the last few weeks.
He was out 5 games. It came back last week against Washington. He caught 9 for 134 yards. He makes a different Cowboy team, Tony Hill, on 1st down and 10. There was a mix-up in the snap from the center. Tom Rafferty and Gary Hogaboom. The grand old man is Kenny Stabler. Proved last week he could do it, alternating in the first half with Todd. Came away in that game looking like he could continue to play in this game. Now in his 15th season. Of course, so many great years with the Oakland Raiders. There was a loss of a couple. It'll be 2nd down and 12, and we watched 2 tight ends come in. Cornwall, the rookie out of USC, and Doug Cosby, of course, is in there as the starting tight end. Hogaboom. Hogaboom back to the original line of scrimmage, and he is hammered there by Dennis Winston. Not one of your Heisman Award-winning running backs. Hogaboom.
No, he's not. You know, they'll say, even though the Saints team is number 2 versus the pass in the NFL, most people will say that, well, who wants to throw against them when they can run on them? And it's a misleading statistic. I disagree with that because they have 28 sacks. So that tells us something. That tells us that they play some pretty decent pass defense.
Danny White, if we mentioned him, Tom Landry made the decision, a critical decision, one that was totally unexpected from Tom Landry, to put him on the bench for Hogaboom on 3rd down and 10. Hogaboom, he has a strong arm, and Tony Hill dances into the sideline, comes down with both feet, gain of 15, and Dallas keeps their drive alive at the 32-yard line of the New Orleans Saints.
Well, Tony is looking good right away. I saw him in the warm-ups, and it appears that hip pointer had bothered him a lot. As we look at it on reverse angle, as Captain Meredith comes into the booth.
Watch the way Tony Hill knows exactly where that sideline is. He concentrates on the ball. He knows he has to have both in bounds, and he does it beautifully. Welcome back, Captain Don. We have a 1st down and 10. Dallas on the move. Dorsett. He has the great speed to get outside, even when the play is called inside, and Dorsett turned what appeared to be a loss into a gain of a couple. And Captain Don, tell me about your thoughts, your memories as you walked out on that playing field. Well, we'll hear you as soon as we get all of our plumbing taken care of. Give you a chance to consider that question. I know how emotional you are. 2nd down and 8. They have marked it at the 29-yard line. Ron Springs, number 20, in there with Tony Dorsett. Those are the setbacks, and Springs just pops right through the middle, and he's very close to a 1st down near the 21-yard line. Springs, who came up in '79, has developed into a complete football player. Good receiver, good blocker. I think you're with us now, Don. No, you're not with us. And it is a 1st down. There is Ron Springs. 5th round pick in '79 out of Ohio State. Had a kind of a injury-riddled year as a senior, but as a junior in 1977, he was the leading rusher for Ohio State. 1st and 10. The 2 tight ends again for Dallas. Dorsett inside the 20. Hammered there. Derlin Moore underneath. Bruce Clark closing down from outside. Gary Hogaboom. He had that big game against the Rams. And then he also had a 300-yard day in a win over the Eagles, but that was 5 weeks ago. The Cowboys have lost their last 2. They haven't lost 3 in a row since '79. Dallas right now 4-3 on the season in the NFC East. Washington, defeated by St. Louis today, is 5-3. St. Louis is 5-3. Dallas can make it a 3-way tie in the NFC East with a win tonight. Ninth play of this drive, and again, trouble pulling away from the center by Hogaboom, and flags are down at the line of scrimmage.
Well, the defense moved, the offensive moved, everybody moved but Gary Hogaboom.
Our referee tonight is Pat Haggerty. Again, a sellout crowd here at Texas Stadium. Capacity a little over 65,000. Here's Pat. Indication was preliminary that it was New Orleans offside. While they sorted out, I'll tell you, New Orleans in the NFC West is 3-4. San Francisco, of course, threatening to run away with that at 7-1. Here's Pat.
94, offsides.
That was Jim Wilkes, the right defensive end, offside. San Francisco 7-1 in that NFC West with New Orleans. The Rams, of course, will meet Atlanta tomorrow night. We'll bring you that game. The Rams are 4-3. Atlanta is 3-4. So New Orleans, with a win tonight, will move into a third-place tie or second-place tie with either the Rams or Atlanta. Second down and 3. Hogaboom lays in the grass, and the whistles blow, and the sack will be allowed at the 21-yard line. It will be third down and 10. Ricky Jackson, one of the really good linebackers in football. O.J. was
one of the best I've ever seen. He plays run real well, and last year he had more sacks than any linebacker in football. He had 11. Led the NFL from his position. Does a super job of jumping over the offensive blocker and getting into play.
Are you with us, Don?
Hello, football fans everywhere. Yes, I am here. It was, we got a ball. Did I tell you that it was going to be tails? Call the toss. Hey.
You showed me the coin. It was both tails.
Won the toss.
Well, we know the visiting team calls the toss.
Oh, okay. Well, it was tails, though.
Practicalities. Third down and 10. And Hogaboom will run from the shotgun.
Oh.
And a ball that is batted away. And that will bring up fourth down. And in all probability, Rafael Septian is off to another big year in the field goal department for Dallas. Rafael, 12 of 14, has had a 52-yarder this year and a 51-yarder. Second most accurate field goal kicker in the history of the NFL, trailing only Ralph Benushka. Hope you watched some of the action during the course of the day. A great game between San Diego and the Raiders. And we're going to be talking about that at halftime with Jim Lampley from New York. The Chargers could have lost 2 key players. Kellen Winslow injured, and Wes Chandler. This will be a 37-yard attempt, and Hogaboom will place it down. Yes, he is accurate. Septian gets 3 for Dallas from 37 yards out as they go on a sustained drive. 9:48 remaining in the first quarter. We'll be back in Irving in a moment.
All right.
And like I said, this is a very flexible country. We're going to be also, with our highlights at halftime, be bringing you a poll conducted by ABC News to see what a cross-section of the country felt about the debate. Interesting night. Very important political decisions perhaps decided and made this evening. Dallas leading 3-0, and Septian puts it in the air. New Orleans will have their first possession, and Tyrone Anthony will bring it out of the end zone. Spins off a Cowboy out to about the 18-yard line. Bill Bates, and they love Bill Bates down here, came up as a free agent 2 years ago from Tennessee, and he is a heavy hitter. Was injured much of the early part of the year, but he's back. Richard Todd comes out. They gave a first-round draft pick to get Richard Todd. It's not been one of his scintillating starts, passing just under 49%, 5 touchdowns, but he's had 10 interceptions. That's an average of 1 every 15 attempts. The league average is 1 every 26. There's the offensive line. Chris Ward, a left tackle, of course, played for so many years with Richard Todd. He was acquired by the Saints just at the beginning of the season. Quarterback, of course, hands off to George Rogers. And there is one of the Heisman Award winners. And one has to wonder, as we look at the defensive unit, very familiar names if you follow pro football, O.J., the feeling of George Rogers when they brought in Earl Campbell.
Well, you can tell he wasn't happy about the situation. I think it's pretty well understood around the league that during the offseason, if Earl Campbell in the second half of this season play up to the ability that he has, that George Rogers will probably be trade bait.
Whoa. Well, that's a heavy statement.
Oh, whoa.
Second down and 6. Rogers got 4. Todd, Rogers, great running out over the 30-yard line. He is a real horse. Well, if he likes out of South Carolina with that Heisman Award, and he is really something.
Well, if he likes New Orleans and he wants to stay there, all he has to do is continue to run like this, and he'll never get Earl off the bench. I don't think anyone has ever doubted his ability to run the football. They said he didn't block so well or catch passes too well, but of course that's the same rap that they have on Earl Campbell.
And O.J. Simpson.
Look out.
Hey, well, I heard it. I just heard it. It was
Oki Gajan is in there. He'll be the blocking back primarily for George Rogers. This is Gajan, however, running, and this is a young man who came out of LSU 3 years ago and has really made a football player out of himself. And there, of course, is Earl Campbell. Back in, I think it was 79 or 78, OJ. He came within 70 yards of your one-season career rushing mark of 2003. But he has been battered and beaten.
That was before I got the voodoo doll out.
That was it. As he came in the trading deadline, he was in one series last week for the New Orleans Saints. Earl Campbell was. He gained 19 yards on 5 attempts. Gajan got 3 at 2nd down and 7. Rogers left side again and taken from behind by Randy White, one of the greats who've ever played this game, looking to become a 7 consecutive year All-Pro. We're going to pause 5 seconds and allow our stations all along the line to identify themselves. It'll be 3rd down and 1. Cowboys, I know, all were watching Washington and St. Louis today. The game piped in here to Dallas. Cardinals looking awfully tough. And the Cardinals and Washington now 5-3 in the NFC East. Trying to go over the top is Wayne Wilson, and no, he did not get the 1st down.
That was a good defensive stand. When you think Dallas, well, they second to the last against the run, and the Saints are last. I think I read that somewhere. That's so unusual for a Dallas team. But most teams have been running on them pretty well this year.
Dallas is 13th against the rush. Last year, even having a tough season, they were 2nd, and we have an injured Cowboy that is down on the field, and I think that's Billy Cannon. There he is, number 52, the rookie 1st-round draft pick. Great credentials out of Texas A&M. We'll be back with a further report on Cannon. The billing.
Oh, now that's all.
You don't like the billing.
I'll tell you, I can recall the many years that we met this man down here. Came up in 1960.
Right.
I mentioned you. We couldn't decide whether you want to be a minister or a lawyer.
It didn't take long. I got it figured out. I really did. Billy Cannon seems to still be down there. Kind of unusual.
You hate to see that, and it's very unusual in that short yardage type of play. We'll get a report. We'll pass it on to you as quickly as we can. Meanwhile, let's take a look at what transpired around the NFL today. That's the game I spoke of a moment ago. Neil Lomax at quarterback for the Cardinals. Another big day.
How about them Giants?
Well, they had it tied for a while. Philadelphia and Jaworski having a big day there. And, boy, Chicago and Tampa Bay. That was close for a while. And Miami, 10 in a row over New England. Another big day for Dan Marino. And the Jets, Joe Walton has them playing. They're 6-2 now. And Detroit and Minnesota. Minnesota had that one in hand for a while. Billy Sims, by the way, hurt in that game. And in this game, it was absolute what you would expect from the Raiders and the Chargers. Both Mark Wilson and Dan Fouts on target throughout that game. It looked like San Diego had tied it up at the end, but they had a penalty on a touchdown scored. And Denver continues to roll. Danny Reeves, a former Cowboy, has the Broncos going. I guess they got out of the snow finally. And Seattle and Green Bay.
Green Bay's still in the snow. We've got Seattle next week, haven't we, against San Diego? That'll be a good ball game.
49ers rolling along. They are 7-1. They defeat Houston. Indianapolis, Frank Kush watched a deflected pass fall into the hands of one of his receivers. That was the difference in that game. And everyone kicked field goals out in the Cleveland-Cincinnati game. And they continue to work on Billy Cannon, the great All-American, great baseball player out of Texas A&M. He was drafted by the Yankees and by the Dodgers, and number 1 by the Dallas Cowboys. Had started playing a lot of part-time duty at linebacker with Anthony Dickerson. We'll look at the standings. There, of course, is Miami, 8-0 and rolling along. We'll be seeing them a couple of times coming up. We'll have the Jets and Miami right after the Thanksgiving weekend. And the AFC Central Division, well, who wants to win this one? And Pittsburgh against New Orleans coming up a little later on, just prior to Thanksgiving. And the Raiders and the Broncos are heading for a showdown. They meet next week. That's going to be some game. Mark Wilson was brilliant today. 5 touchdown passes. And in this division, well, a win tonight, as I mentioned earlier, and the Cowboys will make a 3-way tie out of it. Giants 4-4, Philadelphia 4-4. All these, the standings, at the midway point of the 1984 season.
I got the Bears.
And Chicago coming up against San Diego a little later on. And finally, the NFC West. There it is. San Francisco 7-1. And I mentioned that Atlanta and the Rams will get it on tomorrow night. We'll be leaving right after this game. And Billy Cannon being taken off again. We'll get a report as quickly and as accurately as possible before we speculate on the seriousness of the injury. Brian Hansen on to punt for 4th down for the New Orleans Saints. Gary Allen, fine return man for the Cowboys, is deep. Has not been able to break one off this year, but he was scintillating last year. There's Gary Allen. And spins and is taken by the first man down for the New Orleans Saints. And it was a hustling Rodney Lewis that got there. A 41-yard effort. And the Cowboys, who scored 3 on their first possession, have it again. Out of Central Michigan 5 years ago, Gary Hogeboom, 6'4", 200-pounder. They knew they had a beauty, even though they got him in the 5th round. But it's taken a long time for him to become the starter. And he is a controversial one still. Tony Dorsett on 1st down for a gain of about 3. It'll be 2nd down and 7 for Dallas. That is something.
Yeah.
They've been in the playoffs 17 out of 18 seasons, and New Orleans, the best they've ever managed in 17 years is 8-8. Bum Phillips got them to 8-8 last year. They almost went to the playoffs. They lost in the last second in the final game of the season to the Rams. I might also add they had 6 coaches at New Orleans in the first 14 years of existence. Springs, left side. Springs hit at the 25-yard line and buried at the 24. And there, of course, is Ed Jones, who is getting up there in age. Nevertheless, having a good season for the Cowboys, even though their big problem has been stopping the running game of their opponents. John Riggins with a tremendous game last week for Washington.
Well, the word around the league has not been their down linemen that has been their problem. It has been their linebackers' inability to get in there and make the tackle. So I'm going to talk to you about that later, Captain Don.
Good. I know a lot of that. I know a lot about that.
3rd down and 5 for shotgun for the Cowboys. Hogeboom hangs one up high. There was a little shoving and pushing there between Tony Hill. I think Johnny Poe had a case, but no flag went down.
You see Tony make that catch a lot. They're really counting on the fact that Tony Hill's back in there to give their offense a boost. As everybody knows, they haven't been scoring a lot of points.
Yeah, to Hogeboom's credit, he started this season without Drew Pearson, who retired after an automobile accident.
That's true.
Tony Hill missed 6 games, and Butch Johnson was traded to Houston. So he had altogether different receivers than the ones that Danny White worked with a year ago. You had a quick look at Jeff Groth and Danny White. He doesn't get a lot of distance, but he usually hangs it pretty high and he gets good coverage. And
got a good bounce, didn't he?
As a matter of fact, he also gets good bounces, and it trickles down to just about the 31-yard line of New Orleans. 42-yard punt, zip on the return. Danny White with the finest net punting in the NFL. Now, Monday night is not one of their better nights.
Yeah, that grab, they're into the rhythm. They really, don't, you know, they lose it on Sunday.
Well, they had a chance near the end of last season against the Jets. We had them, but they blew it in the 4th quarter.
Their second possession, the New Orleans Saints. The quarterback, of course, remains Richard Todd. And this is George Rogers. Rogers, he's so strong. The last time he played against the Cowboys, he missed last season's game. But in 1982, he rambled for 166 yards against Dallas. And Earl Campbell back in 1979 ran for 195 yards against the Cowboys. They came in here licking their chops tonight.
Well, I bet they have. But once again, you don't see the linebackers. If you look at their safeties, they're making all the tackles. And this defense, the flex is designed for linebackers to make the tackles.
2nd down and 4. Rogers just bowling it. He'll have the 1st down.
It's hard to finesse on defense, you know?
Yeah, I guess so.
When you start finessing on defense, that just doesn't, that's kind of, doesn't go together.
The big criticism down here has been middle linebacker Bob Bruning. Bob Bruning in his 10th year, and there has been talk that he was retiring. There are people that are saying they would like to see the rookie from Houston, Gene Lockhart, in there. Lockhart is wearing a huge cast to protect a broken thumb.
There's some people down here who say he's already retired.
Yes.
Yes. There's some people there. You know, there are people like that everywhere, though.
At the 42-yard line, first down New Orleans. They trail 3-0, 3:50, and the clock is moving, remaining in the first quarter. Todd, and wide open is Hobie Brenner. And this has been happening to Todd a great deal. He has had a tremendous amount of drop passes, had 5 against the Bears in a losing effort a few weeks ago. Last week, he opened the game and was 5 of 6 in a drive that resulted in 3 points the first time the Saints had the ball, but it could have been a touchdown, and he had yet another drop pass. It was frustrating. And Richard Todd is the kind of young man that's really affected by it. 2nd and 10. Rogers.
Man, they're pushing him around.
Good running by Rogers as he could not go where the play was designed, broke it back inside, and he is up close to another first down, perhaps a foot short.
Let's take a look at it from the end zone. As you can see, there's nothing there. There should be a linebacker somewhere around. He's nowhere around. Now, in the NFL, when a player has a suggestion for the coach, he never goes to the coach. He goes to his captain, and he wants to stay anonymous. So I'm going to you, Captain Don.
Let me have it.
Why don't somebody go to Don Landry, Tom Landry, and say, maybe it's time to scrap the flex. Maybe it's time to go to the 30. We can get Eugene Lockhart in the game. Brunick would be better because he can play the guy in front of him. And what makes the 30 defense go is that nose guard, and they have what is potentially the greatest nose guard in the game in Randy White. Now, couldn't you think to stop these teams from running on them?
His answer might be 18 winning seasons, 17 out of 18 in the playoffs.
Well, there comes a time when they got rid of the single wing.
Washington uses the 4-3.
Good. That was good, Juice.
3rd, and you saw how much.
And I will talk to him.
That's Campbell. Look out. One-on-one with Michael Downs. Earl Campbell, his first carry of the night. And he gets a New Orleans first down inside the 30-yard line of Dallas. An 18-yard pickup by this man who is well over 8,000 yards in his 7-year career.
For a big man, now this is something that they say George Rogers will not do well for you. He will not go into the line and bounce out. Even though he's more of a straight-ahead runner, Earl Campbell can do both. As you can see there was not much in the middle. He took it outside, and I think Earl's a little heavier. If he was a little lighter, I think he's around 230 pounds. If he was a little lighter, I think you would have seen him try to put a move on that defensive back.
Fun game tonight. Great running backs. New Orleans trailing by 3, first down and 10 inside the 30, and that's Gaijan over the right side as a flag falls, and it could be a holding call. It usually is when it falls in that position, and it could be against New Orleans.
Looked like Stan Brock was trying to make one last effort to get Ed Jones there.
Referee once again tonight, Pat Haggerty, and the discussion is with Bob Bruning, the defensive captain for the Cowboys.
All right. CFA college football coming up, Frank. And Notre Dame's going to be SMU, but look at that second one.
A couple of Southwest Conference powers. Bill Arnsberger, of course, head coach now at LSU for so many years. Great coach under Don Shula defensively for Miami. And you will see it right here, 3:30 Eastern time on ABC.
And the Ponies and the Longhorns.
Single setback now is Hokie Gaijan, his first down and 20 following the holding penalty. Todd underthrows to Jeff Groth, and he makes a diving effort. He was open in front of Ron Fellows, incomplete. Groth is saying that he did not trap it, but the official was right there. Take a look again, working one-on-one against Ron Fellows. There's Fellows, number 27. He was open. Pitcher a little late delivering the ball.
Little bounce. First bounce. First bounce. Fellows didn't go for that little fake that he's going deep, though, did he? He just kind of stayed right there with him.
2nd down and 20. Tyrone Young. He's 6'6", 192-pounder from Florida. He's in there. Number 89. Top of your screen. Hokie Gaijan. Gaijan is hit by Everson Walls and dropped behind the line of scrimmage. Cowboys, a tough time last week against Washington, as they did 2 weeks ago against St. Louis. They lost to Washington 34-14, and there was so much criticism about their tackling. That was a beautiful open field tackle by Everson Walls.
Well, it's too bad the Saints got that holding penalty, because when you got 2nd and long, this long, you run a different type of running play. You run a sort of an exotic running play, which they were trying then. And they're better a power running football team.
Third down and 22. Wayne Wilson is in the lineup, number 30 for New Orleans.
Look out, Richard.
Safety blitz. Downs was there, and they had individual coverage and a good effort by Everson Walls to save what could have been a touchdown to the speedster, Lindsey Scott. They got their one-on-one with the blitz. Todd had time to get it. He just did not deliver it on target. He led this man. It would have been 6.
It looks like he almost could have caught. You see him slow down there just a little bit. Gives Everson a chance to come across, but it still hit him in the arms. That was a good effort, as you're right, by Walls.
That will bring up 4th down.
It's fun. You know, there's two different things. You see all the safeties and everybody blitzing the quarterback, but at the same time, the quarterback knows, hey, I for sure got man-to-man coverage back there, and that's really what you're looking at.
This is Brian Hansen, rookie from Sioux Falls, averaging a little over 43 yards into the night. And there's Gary Allen. Hansen looking for the corner.
He got it. Nope.
Oh, yeah, he got it. It's going to be inside the 1.
Oh,
it is.
What a kick.
That's the one you dream of. He puts it out inside the 1-yard line and got 41 yards out of it doing so. So Dallas, leading 3-0, will take over inside the
ring. Rushers Eric Dickerson and the Los Angeles Rams square off against the Atlanta Falcons live at 9 Eastern on ABC.
The rookie from Sioux Falls, Brian Hansen, who has just put it out inside the 1, where Dallas will take over their 3rd possession. Quick report, Billy Cannon, who was injured in the early going, suffered a jammed neck, we've been told. He's been taken to the locker room. He is going to be x-rayed there. He will not return to tonight's game, and we will try to update that report for you. Dallas 3-0 with 1:20 remaining in the 1st quarter. Inside their own 1-yard line, 1st and 10. Springs tries to get a little breathing room. He gets out, and again, a reminder, highlights coming your way at halftime. Lamps will be in New York for that, and Peter Jennings will also have results of an exclusive ABC News poll on who won tonight's presidential debate just before the second half kickoff. So stick with us through this very important political night. Springs out about a yard, so it'll be 2nd down and 9.
So Dennis Winston, Dirt, ex-Pittsburgh Steeler linebacker, was hungry for that safety. Made a shot at it, missed.
Remember Minnesota 2 years ago? Tony Dorsett, 99 yards. He gets a yard on this one. Tony Dorsett really has started to break out of a little bit.
Yeah.
He had 81 last week against Washington. Against St. Louis, again, a losing effort, 91 yards. But the offensive line of the Cowboys has been much like the Saints' offensive line, riddled with injuries. They have flipped their left tackle, Posderic, over to the right side tonight. They put Richards, who would have started there, over to the left side. All that because Jim Cooper, last Monday night, the starting right tackle, was on the way to the men's room, watching a Monday night game from Denver. And he absolutely slipped and fell, fractured his ankle and his leg.
Fall down, go boom.
Danny White has been very classy about being set down at the opening of the season. Hasn't said too much about it. Doesn't really like it, though. There he is. He has been in 2 games. Last week, he came in and led the Cowboys to a touchdown against Washington. He also did the same thing against the Cardinals 2 weeks before.
He says, I'm tired of being classy. I want to play.
3rd down and 8 from the shotgun. Hogaboom avoids 2 points, and Tony Hill's wide open. Oh, could he let him inside? It could have been 6.
He knows it, too. Made a good move to get away from the rush, buy a little bit more time. Hill had him beat. That's called throwing through the receiver a little bit too much instead of out in front of him.
And on comes Danny White in a precarious situation. They will not be able to go totally with their coverage on the punt because they're going to have to be protecting against a possible safety or a possible block punt that could result in a touchdown. There is Jeff Groth. He is inside Dallas territory. Danny White, again, not a long kicker, but he hangs it up there for a long time and is very consistent. Leading the NFL in net average. He cannot get that foot out of the end zone or it would have been safety. He's very careful about it. Groth, wisely. Fair catch called for and made at the 39-yard line. Danny holding right about his net average, but New Orleans trailing 3-0. Opening moments of the second quarter will have great field position. The Cowboys 39. An opportunity. 1st and 10, the 39-yard line of the Dallas Cowboys. Lindsey Scott, top of your screen. He's the speedster wide receiver that's been troubled by a very sore knee. George Rogers. Rogers piled up as he tries to take it to Ed Jones and Mike Hagman. They hold him to a couple. It'll be 2nd down and 8. Here are your first quarter stats. And for New Orleans and Richard Todd, 0 passing yards. He had a couple of men open. He had Scott open for what could have been 6 points.
26 yards is not what you're really looking for in your passing game, too. That's not what you call booming them out there, Boomer.
2nd down and 8. New Orleans at the 36-yard line of Dallas. Todd, wide open is Tyrone Young. And
touchdown.
A lanky wide receiver from Florida takes it in from 36 yards out, and the Saints take the lead. And Richard Todd had pressure and very coolly and calmly fired the shot. Flags are down in the end zone. We may have had a little extracurricular demonstration in there by Tyrone Young. Boy, he was open.
He was just wide open.
Ran a little cross pattern, as Frank said earlier. There's been some criticism around here about the Cowboys' ability to tackle in the secondary, and that's a good example of that.
Number 79, celebration in the end zone. 5-yard penalty on the kickoff.
I don't think it was 79, was it?
There will be no celebrations in the end zone.
No, we can't have those. I mean,
and there is no 79, so is some other folk. The goalpost is having a little bit of a problem here tonight. I think it was one of the Saints, and I didn't get the number, and there are no 79s.
It was 89. It was Tyrone.
I think it was Tyrone also. He went up and grabbed the goalpost, and we've got a funny situation here. We may have a bit of a problem.
He dunked it.
Hasn't this happened before during this?
The one that happened was I believe it was down in Atlanta someplace. Somebody hit the goalpost with a kick and knocked it over.
It was the Giants against the Rams a couple of weeks ago. That's where it happened. So I don't know what they're going to do now.
Well,
Pat Haggerty is trying to sort it out. I'm sure they are calling the goalpost repairman.
Yeah, they've got
they got a rope there, and they're going to try to pull it back over.
He's on a plumbing house call.
Right.
There they go. There. They were doing it by a rope.
All right.
See, I told you they're prepared here in Dallas.
Hey, they are.
Any eventuality.
And Bum is prepared. Look at Bum. Is that terrific?
I know the guy on the right. That's Bill Edwards.
Who's the guy with the hat?
What a great guy. He really is. He does keep it in perspective. He admitted last week that I think I made a mistake. He was talking, of course, of his shuttling quarterbacks in the first half. There's some people that are questioning his giving away a first-round draft pick to get Earl Campbell.
I like his answer about that. They accused him of being in love with Earl Campbell, and he said he loves his wife, but he wouldn't give up a #1 draft choice for her.
That's great. He also said he got Earl Campbell, Kenny Stabler, and Casper. He says, not because he needed them, because I knew that they were good football players. And that's his answer, is why you get an Earl Campbell when you've got a George Rogers in the backfield. Old Bum's got answers for most everything.
I think we have things straightened out now. Morton Anderson comes on. That's Guido Merkins, who does a little bit of everything. They say most holders are wide receivers or quarterbacks. Well, Merkins is all of that, plus a defensive back. Peterzak will snap it back. And Anderson extends the New Orleans leads. 7-3. They're on top with 13:59 to go here in the second quarter. We'll be back in a moment.
NFL Classics.
Last game, Dallas-Washington, clock ticking, winner to the playoffs, and the Redskins bang out a 13-point lead. But this was Roger Staubach's last regular season game, and his passion for dramatic victory simply took over and dictated the results. 2 desperation touchdowns and 1 more miracle from the captain of the Cowboys.
They wouldn't send me back out there, would they? Not Jeff and Hazel. Oh, it's wonderful, the quarterback debates. They happen all over the country.
Gary Allen 31, Chuck McSwain 35, deep for Dallas. Anderson to put it in play. As Gary Allen brings it out. And Allen over the 25-yard line, hit there by Scott Pelluer, a pair of brothers in the game tonight. Scott Pelluer, a special teams player for the New Orleans Saints, and of course his brother Steve Pelluer is a rookie quarterback from Washington.
It's kind of a cute story, Frank, how they got
it
here.
is.
Why don't you see if you can put that together? It'd take me too long. Well, okay, we'll get it later. Scott and Steve Pelluer.
First down and 10. And Gary Hogeboom at quarterback for Dallas. Setback Springs and Dorsett. Hogeboom to the big tight end, Doug Cosby, and he is down before he coughs up the ball for a Cowboy first down at the 42-yard line, a gain of 15.
That particular type of pass is the reason that Landry gives for playing Hogeboom and not White. There's very few quarterbacks that have enough confidence in the arm. You see the linebacker right in front? Now, that guy's looking right at the quarterback's eyes, but he knows he's got Cosby right over him. So if you've got confidence in your arm to be able to drop that thing in the middle, that's what you try to do. But what Gary has not been doing, he hasn't been dropping it there that many times. He's got too strong an arm.
Very confident. He also has a 6'6" Doug Cosby. Dorsett taken out of bounds after a gain of 2. Hit there first by Kovac, and then it was Frank Watlett.
You have to like Tony. He has really matured this year quite a bit. They've made him the offensive captain of the team, and with all the controversy going around about who should be the quarterback, he's been pretty stable about it. He's played it right down the middle, and it's a tough year for Tony. Tony's a breakaway type back. He's averaging less than 4 yards a carry, and that's almost unbelievable. He hasn't had a 100-yard game in the last 10 games.
I got a little one I like, too. You got a second down here. Frank's going to get that one going.
And 8 for the Cowboys.
He got, wide open. Whoa.
A screen, a good time to have it called with a blitz. And Springs coming close to a first down, perhaps a couple of feet short. He was hit there by Dennis Winston.
They read that screen pretty well, and in doing so, they really left Doug Cosby wide open coming across the middle. I didn't see the screen set up. The defensive players did, but he had him really wide open. You see, what they try to do is make it look like that good deep pass downfield and drop back a little bit further. They're setting up to the outside. Ron gets it, goes to the outside, does come up a little bit short of his first down, however. Third down, and I'd say less than a yard.
And the tight ends come in. Cornwell, a rookie from USC, and there with Doug Cosby in the short yardage offense. And they hand it off inside to Springs, and second effort will bring him close to a first down. He was hit short of the first down and then bounced to an opening to his left, and he is very close.
You talk about Tony Dorsett a while ago, kind of keeping to himself. They say, okay, who are you going to play quarterback? He says, if you'll notice behind my name, Tony Dorsett, it says RB. That's running back. Behind Landry's name, it says coach. He said, ain't my job. And I like that. That's the way.
Diplomacy.
Yeah, one of the things I think has happened to the players down here this year, they got a little bit too involved in this quarterback controversy, and I know you feel this way, OJ. I think Frank does too. Quarterback is just, it's an important position, but my gosh, it's not going to turn the team around one way or another. They got to have a lot of players out there.
Well, the Rams have proven that with Jeff Kemp, even though he's performing well for them, as the Cowboys appear to get the first down.
Springs with a great effort. Bounces off and gets the first down, keeps the drive alive.
This is very un-Dallas. What you're seeing right here is the Dallas wave. All right, go get them, Dallas.
Not bad for a town that's not near an ocean.
All right.
Very sophisticated down here.
Sophisticated.
They have a very kind of a low roller, if you will, way type. On 1st and 10, Hogeboom in trouble, and he just unloads that.
That was probably a good move there. He saw.
Oh, he had pressure. Kovac, the linebacker, was right in his face.
Yeah. Get rid of that ball.
Again, a reminder, we'll be moving over to Atlanta right after tonight's game for the Rams in Atlanta, as both those teams try to stay close to San Francisco. And that's what New Orleans is doing tonight. And then a week from tomorrow night, Seattle at San Diego. And one has to hope that everything is all right with those receivers, Kellen Winslow and Wes Chandler, for San Diego. Both of them left today's game against the Raiders, a thrilling game it was, with knee injuries. 2nd and 10. Dorsett.
All right, Tony D.
Quick moves. Designed to go to the left. He almost went to the carpet, was able to maintain his balance, and he picks up 7 yards.
Well, Tony made up his mind where he was going on that run, and he slipped when he first tried to cut back to his right, and if he wouldn't have slipped, he may have been off to the races. As it is, he gained about 7 yards.
But that play was not designed to go to the right, was it?
I don't know. Sometimes it's a play that maybe was designed to go up the middle. We ran a few of those in Buffalo where you start off one way and you look to go the other way, but he's run it enough to know pretty much what he wanted to do once he saw the defensive alignment.
3rd down and 3. Dorsett 24 yards, 7 attempts. They defensed him rather well. Hogeboom 4 of 8. Hogeboom almost had one picked off for what could have been 6 as Kovac stepped right in front of it. I don't think Hogeboom even saw him.
Well, he kind of zeroed in on that side. He only looked in one direction. Got a little bit of pressure up the middle, it looked like, too.
Well, Russell Gary had the easier catch, and he dropped it also.
That ball was not destined. It was destined to be dropped.
4th down. Danny White will come into the lineup. And he is kicking from just about the same place Brian Hansen kicked for New Orleans and put it out inside the 1. There's Jeff Groth back and guessing with Danny White. Danny White kicks the ball very high. He might just kick it straight away and look for coverage, and that's exactly what he's done. Groth forced to make the fair catch at the 11-yard line. There is Jeff Groth. It'll be 1st down and 10 for New Orleans at the 11-yard line. We're going to go now to Washington and join ABC News' Peter Jennings, who will really act for him just about like Tim Wilson did when Tim Wilson was with him in Houston and was just the key blocking back. They'll run out of the I formation, and Earl from deep back there, O.J., where you have run for so many times. Campbell. He got a block from Gajan, and he was tripped up by Dexter Clinkscale after a gain of about 3.
You got to feel that Earl really, you know, when one team trades you and you go to another team, it's got to do a little bit something to you. So you got to think that Earl really wants to make this to be a good trade for Bum. He played for Bum down in Houston, and
yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And you, like me, there are coaches that I had enjoyed, like of course, John McKay and Lou Saban, and Bum has been good for all runners, and I'm sure he's just happy to be running in Bum's offensive scheme.
On 2nd down and 7. Power running by Campbell, and Power tackling. Bob Bruning and Michael Downs were there, and they held Campbell to just about a yard. It'll bring up a 3rd down and 5.
Actually, it was Downs who stopped the play, and you're not going to have the best defense against the run when you're counting on your safeties to come up and make the tackles inside the tackle. Is essentially what he did there. And once again, we go back to my early argument.
You'll end up with a lot of short safeties.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't think they have the personnel to play the flex defense anymore, in their linebackers particularly.
That's Rogers. And Rogers close to a 1st down.
One of the things I think that could substantiate what you're saying.
Let me correct that is Wayne Wilson.
Did he make it? He did make the 1st down. To substantiate what you're saying, I think the flex defense, Tom's had so much success with it in the past, but the one thing in particular, there's been some rule changes, I think, that have hurt the flex defense. They've always been a coordinated kind of defense, and the rule changes that tried to emphasize passing a little bit does not, you know, that doesn't really help. So that might be something to consider.
Well, I think their personnel definitely lends itself to the 30 defense right now.
At the 22-yard line, 1st and 10. Gajan. Gajan, who came into the league 3 years ago at about 2.5, and he's up now around 2.30, just on a weight program, gets a couple of yards.
And, of course, the 30 defense is the defense where you have 3 down linemen and 4 linebackers. It limits the area responsibility of your linebackers, so they don't have to worry about covering so much ground. And I'll go back to the fact that I think Randy White would turn out to be maybe the best nose tackle in football.
He's already about the best defensive tackle, isn't he?
2nd down and 7. Todd, man was wide open, but he wasn't looking. It is Michael Downs who stepped right in front of an intended receiver. It was Jeff Groth trying to get deep. Did not even look back at Todd. He threw the ball, and Michael Downs was right there, and he was certainly open. Michael Downs.
I noticed the receiver, John, was coming underneath Groth. Do you think Groth felt he had a clear out pattern? and he didn't expect the ball to be thrown to him. Like you'll see a receiver coming in from the right there.
Yeah, that
Number
could
89 was Tyrone Young. Do you think Rote felt that he was supposed to clear out for Young to come underneath because he never looked for the football?
Certainly possible. We got a Cowboy down.
Cowboy down.
I tell you what, it makes the quarterback really look.
Michael Downs, and he is slow getting up.
Sure makes the quarterback look a little silly when you throw it because the guy wasn't even there. It had to be some kind of a mix-up, and that could be it, because a lot of times you send the guy down to clean out that zone. The other guy's coming back in. That could very well be what it was.
Michael Downs gets the Cowboys' first turnover. They'll have a first down and 10 inside the 30 of New Orleans. Michael Downs gets his third interception of the season. He's also the leading tackler for the Dallas Cowboys coming into tonight. First down and 10. 8:08 remaining here in the first half. Dorsett, right side, tries to get outside. Tripped up. And he'll lose a yard. Dennis Winston defensively.
You better have your helmet on when you run to Ricky Jackson's number 57 side of the field, because he diagnosed that play almost immediately. He closed it down, and he forced Dorsett to run closer to the line of scrimmage than he wanted to.
And Winston, as Frank mentioned, was the guy came up through the middle and double forced it as Winston limped off. Looked like he turned his ankle.
He has been replaced by Glenn Reed, number 58 defensively. There was a loss of 2, so it's second down and 12. Hogeboom with the powerful arm gets it out to the wide receiver Mike Renfro, and Renfro will have a first down. That's his 20th reception for the Cowboys this year, and of course he came to Dallas from Houston in exchange for Butch Johnson, who has now traveled on to Denver and is having a good season there.
Did you see Ron Springs? He was running a cross pattern, and he jumped up for the ball and was overthrown. He was shaking his head like, oh, he overthrew me. And he looked up, and the other guy caught the ball.
See, that's one of the advantages of having the patterns where all the guys are like ducks in a row, man, and you just throw it out there, and somebody's going to catch it.
7-3, the Saints over the Cowboys. The Cowboys on the move inside the 20 of New Orleans. First down and 10, 6:45 remaining in the half. Dorsett darting back inside and gets close to the 15-yard line, a gain of 4. It'll be second down and 6. Winston now back in the game defensively for New Orleans. Appears to be all right. Michael Downs, we are told, has a slightly bruised back. He's expected to be back in the defensive lineup for Dallas.
This has been in the past a tough Saints defensive team. Their biggest problem has been their nose tackle, Derlin Moore, has been playing hurt. He's one of the best when he's playing healthy, but he's playing hurt, so they've been having problems stopping the run.
Hogeboom again. Looks for Renfro, checks it out to Ron Springs. And Springs is met there.
Nice defense.
Quickly, defensively by Kovac. Jim Kovac.
Plus, I've noticed they've blitzed on just about every play, the Saints. You just don't get to the playoffs. And if you do make it to the playoffs, you don't go too far in the playoffs when you rely on the blitz.
Springs got 1. It'll be third down and 5. Hogeboom looks over, picks up the snap. And just recently activated, James Jones is in the lineup, number 23. He's been basically out for 2 years with a knee injury for Dallas. And that is Jones. Jones circling out of the backfield, and that's really his first action in a couple of years. He's had a very troublesome knee problem, and he is going to be short of the first down. But it's going to create decision time for Tom Landry, and he makes it very quickly to the crescendo of boos from this partisan crowd. He sends out Raphael Septien.
You know, Frank, you hear the boos, but you also wonder, Dallas has been criticized in the past for not playing with a great deal of enthusiasm. And I don't know, it's hard to criticize because they've won so many times in the past, as we see Tom over on the sideline. But a lot of teams you talk about, they love to play Dallas because they're not going to be very emotional. They're going to go out there and just play their game.
27-yard attempt. Hogeboom gets it down. Right Septien. That is duck shooting range for Septien, one of the most accurate kickers in the history of this game. So the Cowboys trail by 1. A decision to forego a 4th and 1. With Don Meredith and O.J. Simpson. Texas Stadium sold out on this big night in political history here in the United States. As I mentioned at the top of the show, I guess that is the nature of this country and also its flexibility. We'll be going to Washington, joining Peter Jennings at halftime for an ABC News poll on the outcome of that debate. And we'll also be joining Jim Lampley in New York for highlights of today's play. And there were some interesting games today.
I thought you were going to say highlights of the debate. Will we have those too? Same day.
As Anthony is down inside the 20-yard line.
The old familiar flag on the kickoff. Holding. Thank you.
And the Saints will be backed up. The Saints lost their opener to Atlanta this season. Then they won 3 out of 4, losing only to San Francisco. And they've lost their last 2 to Chicago and last week to Los Angeles, 28-10.
Holding, number 82, on the return, first down.
So New Orleans, instead of their 20-yard line, will begin their possession inside their own 10-yard line when we come back to Texas Stadium. The Saints over the Cowboys, 7-6, 4:26 remaining in the first half. The Saints first down and 10, the ball just inside their own 10-yard line. Campbell is in there as the big setback, but Richard Todd is back. Todd slides for the first down out over the 20-yard line.
And good move by Richard that time. Spread them all out to the outside, opened up in the middle, and he takes off.
13-yard pickup for Richard Todd. 7 years. He started for the Jets, replacing a bit of a legend there, Joe Namath. Not a bit, a legend for the Jet fans. Came down to New Orleans Saints ostensibly to replace another one in Ken Stabler. The jury is still out. On first and 10. Earl Campbell bounces off the stack. Straight arms Everson Walls, and that's Earl Campbell vintage type. First down.
Well, once again, that's what they say he can do that George Rogers doesn't do too well.
This looks like he didn't have any place to go. Look.
Yeah. But how many backs can bop in there and get outside? How many backs think about it? They say what George Rogers tries to do in that situation is get on the backs, get on the lineman's back, and just try to push in there, where Earl will bounce out of there and get some big yards. I recall one Monday night game against Miami where he went 80 or 90 yards doing that very same thing.
He made Everson Walls look like a schoolboy with that stiff arm. On first down, Guyjon left side. Guyjon's in the open. Doesn't have great speed, but he may not need much.
Got great enough.
Everson Walls doesn't have speed either, and Guyjon goes the distance, 62 yards. This young man has really made a football player out of himself. Came up a 10th round draft pick. No, not fast. Turned into a strong blocker. Found a spot on this team, and he has just ripped off a big one.
And who is over here jumping up and down, said, I told you, I told you, I told you. And they can't run on the Cowboys, right?
Well, I told you in the opening of the show, when you have big names, like you got 3 Heisman Trophy winners, and I felt that this guy would end up being one of the big stars of the game. We've seen him do this. He did it against Jets last year on a Monday night game, and he's one of these guys that work and work and work, and before you know it, he does something big like that. He's averaging over 6 yards a carry coming into this game. It's amazing.
Kelvin Clark should get an assist. He did a tremendous job on Randy White. Rolled him up one-on-one. Anderson for the conversion. And the Saints have quieted the partisan crowd here at Texas Stadium. Out of LSU. The Tigers should be proud of this one. 82-yard touchdown run by Hokie Guyjon has really stunned the Cowboys. Beautifully executed at the line of scrimmage. Great block by Kelvin Clark. No sign of middle linebacker Bob Brunig, and it was a straight sprint. And he does not have the kind of speed that should take him 62 yards for a touchdown.
He was a little faster than the linebackers of Dallas.
Gary Allen. And Allen out to the 24-yard line. Let's take a look at the replay. Great blocking. That left guard just beyond the center. He's on Randy White. He rolls him up. Out to the outside goes Guyjon.
And there just was a big hole in there. Once again, in the flex defense you're talking about, it's designed for the linebacker, particularly the middle linebacker, to make most of the tackles. They're trying to keep the guards and center off of him where it frees him up to hit those holes. That time Brunig hit the wrong hole.
Actually, he went by the hole and he got caught up in there. That's why I think they should go to 30, where we have less room that he has to cover in the middle.
I'm going to talk to him about it.
All right, Captain.
At the 24-yard line, first and 10. Wide open is Tony Hill. And he'll have a Dallas first down.
Makes it look easy, doesn't he, when Tony's out there? They really have missed him. You know, what's wrong with the Cowboys is something that I've been hearing for so many years. It's unbelievable. I think maybe what's wrong with them this year is that truly they just don't have the horses. They've been in that quote building and rebuilding program, but they've had a lot of guys hurt, particularly in that offensive line. But I don't know that they have that many good players. I don't think they're as good as they have been in the last few years.
On first down, Tony Dorsett. It's away from Jackson with a good move, and Dorsett explodes out over middle at the 50-yard line, 14-yard pickup, but he made a tremendous move on Ricky Jackson to get outside. And Ricky Jackson is a good open field tackler.
There was a graphic we had earlier in the ball game that's saying, you know, Tony has not had a 100-yard rushing game in his last 10 regular seasons. Now that, you know, for a guy like this who usually kind of clicks them off, that says something about that offensive unit.
Well, if they don't get too far behind, I think you'll see Tony break that 100-yard mark tonight.
And in Texas Stadium, he has had 100-yard games 25 times, and the Cowboys have never lost here when he's had a 100-yard game. Dorsett gets 3 to the 45-yard line. It'll be second down and 7. Bruce Clark defensively there. We come down to the 2-minute warning. A reminder, we'll be going to Peter Jennings, ABC News in Washington, for an ABC News poll on the debate tonight. And, of course, we will have the highlights from Jim Lampley in New York.
Now, how long did it take you to make that little sign?
Well, I worked on it today at lunch. I was finding somebody to hang it up.
Second and 7. And Hogaboom fired one in. Dennis Winston defensively against Tony Hill, short of the first down. And now we have the 2-minute warning. Both teams have 3 timeouts remaining. We'll be right back. 57 remaining in the first half. New Orleans leads the Cowboys 14-6. Dallas on yet another drive. They have a 3rd down and 3 they're confronted with. Hogaboom on the night, 9 of 14, 93 yards. Dorsett has picked up 43 yards on 11 carries. Renfro split up to the top of your screen. There's one wide receiver, Tony Hill to the left, and from the shotgun is Hogaboom. Tries to slide it into Jones, and it's incomplete.
Pretty good coverage right there that time. Whitney Paul was the linebacker, and he was not far off. The ball was thrown a little bit behind Jones, looked like. They're going to punt.
Danny White comes out as we look once again.
You see him come back to the outside. That's a pretty big old boy standing there pretty close. The ball is just a touch behind. Very catchable, I would say, but still a little bit more difficult than maybe what it had to be.
Jim Cooper went on the injured reserve today. I mentioned that he had suffered an injured ankle and a broken fibula in his leg in a slip and fall on Monday night. James Jones, the intended receiver a moment ago, was activated. Here's Danny White.
He is
waiting. Make sure that his coverage gets down under it. Oh, and he's got a piece of work here. Danny White has got one inside the 1-yard line.
Flag is down.
And a flag is down. And it usually works against the kicking team.
They probably had the lineman released too early because he held the ball so long. Be a 5-yard penalty.
Sure, that's exactly what happened. That's the preliminary indication from Pat Haggerty.
Danny, I think, really thought about trying to run that time. You know, he hasn't done it this year, and as most people realize, has had a great deal of success in the past in doing that.
He has. He's been 14 of 18 over his career on 4th down attempts.
I knew you'd know the answer to that.
An eligible man downfield, number 55, offense, still 4th down.
Down remains the same. 1:43 now remaining in the half.
That took away a terrific punt, wasn't it? That thing was out on about the 1 or 2.
Right at the 1-yard line, they had marked it. Jeff Groth now has stepped up to about the 13-yard line of New Orleans. Danny White again looking to get coverage as he kicks it straight up in the air. Groth calls for the fair catch at the 17-yard line. And New Orleans, with an 8-point lead, will have 1:36 remaining here in the half. They have 3 timeouts. 1st and 10, the ball inside their own 17-yard line. That's the time remaining in the first half. The Saints on top of the Cowboys, 14-6. The Saints 3-4. Dallas 4-3. Campbell, and he bangs his way up close to the 20-yard line. Septien got the scoring underway here in Dallas tonight. He hit from 37 yards out. Richard Todd came back, hit Tyrone Young 36 yards for a touchdown to make it New Orleans 7-3. Raphael Septian got his own field goal to make it 7-6, and then Hokie Gajan stunned this crowd, 62-yard touchdown for the Saints to make it 14-6. That's where we are. Cowboys have called timeout. They'd like to get the ball back down here. We're going to pause 5 seconds and allow our stations to identify themselves.
WTAE-TV, Channel 4, Pittsburgh.
I've never been down there. I'm just curious how Bum talks to a quarterback. I bet he's sort of cool and casual about it.
I would think so, too. They don't have that many options. Of course, they've worked for a long time since training camp. They've got their 2-minute offense. They may put in something a little bit different when they play different from one team from another, but basically it's the same. I would think right now, after the Cowboys have called their timeout, he's just saying, we've got to pick up a first down. They're not trying to move it down the field that far.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised the Cowboys has done that. They obviously, Tom Landry is optimistic with this defense. I would have thought he would have loved to go in at halftime, 14-6.
Second down and 7. Campbell gets a good block from Gajan, but is nailed at the line of scrimmage and scrambled there at the bottom of the pile as though Campbell might have lost the football after he went down. It'll bring up third down and about 5 as we look at Danny White, who has to be troubled. He took over from the legend Roger Staubach in '79. 3 out of the 4 years he quarterbacked his Cowboy team. They wound up in NFC championship games. And he has to kind of wonder,
he did a good
what did
job.
I do wrong?
Well, I don't think he did anything particularly wrong. I think that what he was trying to say is this guy right here, Hogaboom, is the guy that's maybe got a little bit more your raw talent. I think in Hogaboom's defense for this year, Danny White has played with a better team over the last 4 years. They've had a better team than they have right now.
Certainly better receivers. I mentioned earlier that gone from this Dallas team are Drew Pearson, who retired. Tony Hill missed 5 games after going out in the opener against the Rams with the shoulder. Butch Johnson, who was a great compliment to Hill and to Pearson, he was traded.
Cosby also has been hurt a little bit this year. That's the tight end that comes in there also. And their offensive line, you may have mentioned this at the top of the show, Frank, I don't know, but they've got so many guys that have been hurt this year that hardly anybody's playing in the same position that they started the season.
Really only have had one healthy offensive lineman throughout the season. They were hoping they'd get Herb Scott back tonight. We haven't seen him. Cowboys use another timeout. They want the football back. They have 1 remaining.
They're not going to get it. Look at that old boy.
Wayne Wilson. And it does appear as if Wilson will have the first down. That should pretty much put an end to any of the Cowboy thoughts about getting another possession here in the first half.
They go into that prevent defense looking for a pass, and that's just a pitch out swing to the outside.
It's a good move by Bum. You know, he doesn't have George Rogers in the game, and he takes Earl Campbell out of the game. He puts in Wilson with a 1-back.
I really don't assume they're going to pass. I don't understand this. The New Orleans Saints are up close to their 30-yard line. They have 3 timeouts remaining.
Why didn't they call timeout?
Well, why didn't they get the playoff? Campbell. And he gets to the outside. Look out, fellows. He misses cold.
Now
they'll think timeout. Yes, they finally do. They could have saved themselves about 40 seconds.
It also gives you an indication of how confident they are in their own passing game. Not much.
That's puzzling.
Well, Earl's got the feeling. You can see that. He comes up here. The offensive line does a super job of giving him time. You know, when you don't get penetration, you can kind of bounce around like that and get outside. And as I said, Earl is carrying a little too much weight now. If he had about 10 pounds off, I think he'd have walked away from that guy.
Heavy or not, he put a move on Ron Fellows that any scat back would be proud of. Fellows didn't even touch him.
Well, Fellows was dug in. You know, when you see Earl Campbell, Earl is only about 5'10". You see a guy his size coming at you, you kind of dig in. You know what I mean? You try to get down in the trenches, and sometimes
when you do, you should take up another profession.
Yeah, I was going to say I wouldn't dig in, but that's a whole other story.
Hey, let me tell you, there's been a lot of defensive players that dug in on Earl Campbell. Did you see what he did to Jack Tatum on the goal line, or what he did to Isaiah Robinson? He came into the league blasting guys.
37 seconds remaining. The Saints have a 1st and 10 near their own 42. They have 2 timeouts remaining. Wayne Wilson, the setback for the Saints. Richard Todd checking off. And there is movement on the Saints' right side. Steve Courtney, who is being forced to play the guard position after winning the starting center position earlier in the year. That by injuries.
Ball start, number 60, offense.
And his court that you saw moving. They'll back them up 5. Down will remain the same. It'll be 1st and 15 with 37 seconds remaining in the first half. John Tice, number 82, tight end for the Saints, comes into the lineup. So Lindsey Scott, number 80, Jeff Grove, number 86. Those are the wide receivers with a pair of tight ends. That's Scott. Scott is open and gets away from Walls. Steps out of bounds, kills the clock at the 44-yard line. 30 seconds remaining in the first half. Lindsey Scott, he's got that blazing speed. We saw him make a great effort down in New Orleans in a preseason game, O.J. They would really like to have this #1 draft pick back in action, but he's been troubled with a knee problem.
Yeah, but he can get it going, and Earl can get back in form, and they have a guy named Junior Miller who has the potential to be a great tight end. Those guys perform. This could be a great team.
Remember George Rogers? 2nd and 7. Todd with a fine shot to Groth, and Groth will have another first down inside Dallas territory near the 43-yard line. 23 seconds remaining in the half, and the Saints now must be looking back on the 20 or so seconds they just let run off the clock. They have 1 timeout remaining.
Not much fancy, but the thing he didn't do is he didn't go to the outside. You'll see they're trying to protect that outside there a little bit. Ron Fellows was the guy defending. He says if you're going to catch it, you're going to have to catch it inside and use a timeout.
All right. Talking about a couple of more great runners.
You
Eric
love it, don't
Dickerson,
you?
Gerald Riggs.
You love
I'm a
it.
big fan of runners, and you'll see
Anthony.
maybe the best in the game today in Eric Dickerson there with the Rams. And
SMU graduate, right?
oh, did he graduate?
A week from tomorrow, you're going to see one of the gutsy players I've ever seen. Dan Fouts hung in there today. Battered, beaten, lost receivers, hung in there, came ever so close to the Raiders. And, of course, they're going to go against the Seattle Seahawks. That'll be a week from Monday night. Seattle staying alive and healthy in perhaps the strongest division in the NFL, the AFC West.
They lost a good running back, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Chuck Knox has done a super job up there to keep them in contention, playing super defense.
You know, he just wins wherever he goes, doesn't he?
Some coaches are like that.
44-yard line for New Orleans. 23 seconds remaining in the half. They have a 14-6 lead over the Cowboys. They have 1 timeout remaining. Todd to the tight end, Tice, and batted away. Everson Walls was in front, and Downs was behind the receiver.
We've got that Downs that is down. Everson Walls made a heck of a move because this is almost face guarding because he knew that he was going back out to his outside. You'll see.
It's Clinkscale, actually, Don, who is down.
Look at Everson Walls, though. He knew that ball was getting close.
Clinkscale fell on the tight end, John Tice, and he is slow getting up for Dallas.
Every year, every team can go back and say, hey, we were either decimated by injuries or they're going to have it. And it's one of the unfortunate things about the game. And I don't think this is a team in the league that really goes without them. But, you know, at the end of the season, it's almost the team that stays the healthiest is the one that's going to be very close right there at the end. These guys have had an awful lot of guys hurt this year.
No winners, only survivors.
Yeah, well, San Diego, you're talking about that. They have had so many of the guys hurt off and on all season.
And they may have a couple of big ones today.
That would really hurt.
Winslow, maybe.
Young man came up 4 years ago as a free agent, just kind of fought his way onto this football team. See it again. You'll see Everson Walls now. He's allowed to do this. He's not face guarding as long as he doesn't wave those hands around. And there is Clinkscale coming right over John Tice. And he could have just fallen on Tice and perhaps had the wind knocked out of him. He is now walking off the field and with a slight limp, but I'm fairly certain we'll see him back in the lineup.
That might have been Everson Walls that you see that came by there and actually is going to hit Clinkscale too.
17 seconds remain. Saints have 1 timeout.
Well, the Saints last year on a Monday night, as you know, they have never won a Monday night football game. They appear to have had a game in hand against the Jets last year, but the Jets came back in the second half, and as I said, they've never won a game on Monday night.
That's the first time for everything.
At the 44-yard line of Dallas. 2nd down and 10. Dallas showing safety blitz, and they come with it. Todd reads it and fires to Tyrone Young, and he holds on.
Nice job of catching that ball that time, Tyrone.
And will they use their final timeout?
I think they did.
They have. The first down is near the 32-yard line of Dallas, and Richard Todd uses the final timeout.
They'd like to try to time that safety blitz. You saw Michael Downs. He got up there a little bit early, and Todd saw it. Obviously saw that there was going to be man-to-man coverage, and Tyrone just came in from the inside. He also could see that blitz coming.
Well, he was heads up. He took a quick look to see where number 24 Everson Walls would be, and then he was right back looking at Todd.
But the ball was thrown behind him again. That's the kind of deal that just stops the whole pattern, the whole flow. 24-year-old kid, 6'6".
Yeah, well, it's time for the alley-oop, I would say. I'd send him into the end zone and get the ball up high. We know he can jump.
Well,
He knocked the goalpost down almost earlier.
What do they call him? Sky Tie or something down there?
Yeah. Little R.C. Owens time.
Winkscale is back in the lineup. Slightly bruised thigh. And now Todd, with no timeouts remaining, has 12 seconds. His speed man is Lindsey Scott, and he's not in there. Tyrone Young is split to the right. He's the tall one, 6'6", 192. Top of your screen is Jeff Grote. And that one was being awaited by Michael Downs, and Ron Fellows interfered with his own teammate. Otherwise, we'd have had a Dallas turnover. That ball should not have been thrown.
So easy to see from up here, but it looked like they had a guy, Tyrone Young.
Oh, 6'6" Tyrone was at one-on-one coverage, and it looked as if he may have had a step on Everson Walls, even though Everson was playing a deep zone. But at 6'6", just put it up.
Out comes Morton Anderson. He's made 8 of 10 this year. He's 3 in a row, 7 of the last 8. His best for this year thus far, 47 yards. And this would be a season high for Morton Anderson. The attempt from 49 yards.
It's long enough.
And a lot of accuracy.
Hey, hey.
The Saints get something out of it. And they move out to a 17-6 lead with 2 seconds on the clock. We'll see the kickoff.
All right, let's take a look at number 89, Tyrone. He's 6'6". You know they have 1 play left. They have no timeouts, which means they should throw the ball into the end zone, or hopefully over the end zone.
About this time, I think Richard Todd was very busy.
I think also that probably Everson had seen him throw the ball, but I wondered how the heck he got so open. I didn't see it then. I looked back and said, wait a minute. The guy can't be that open, but evidently Everson had seen Richard throw the ball.
So with 2 seconds remaining in the half, we will see the kickoff. Reminder again, we'll be going to Peter Jennings in Washington for an ABC News poll concerning tonight's debate. And then we'll also be joining Jim Lampley in New York for highlights of today's play.
They're going to get more and more of these kind of flags hanging over the stadium down here if the Cowboys don't do so. This is the first time in 20 years that at the midway point of the season, the opponents have outscored Dallas through the first 7 games. So that means 2 things. They're not scored, and they're letting our folks do it. See how well I figured that?
I'll tell you.
Anderson with the short kick. They do not want the dangerous men returning the ball. So they kick it in there short. And we get the return from Norm Granger, and that's the end of the first half. The Saints did it on big plays. The key play, a 62-yard run tonight. And Anthony all the way back out to the 45-yard line, where New Orleans will have great field position. Ron Fellows tripped him up. And New Orleans has to be buoyed by the fact that they have 191 yards rushing against the Cowboys in the first half. Now, that is the most all this season. Obviously, the fans not happy with the play of Dallas thus far in the season. Dallas has given up a lot of yardage, though, over this season. In the last 3 games, they have given up 100-yard games to 3 different rushers. There's Peyton, Chicago, Otis Anderson, John Riggins. And in all coming in tonight in 3 games, they've given up nearly 700 yards. And down goes Richard Todd in the arms of Mike Hegman, as there is a mix-up in the exchange. And let's take a look at the stats. They tell the story. New Orleans very slow getting off the mark in the first quarter. Dallas with the lead at that point. And as we dissolve to the first half, you can see that New Orleans really took over. 62 yards of that 191 yards came on a 62-yard burst by Hokie Gajan for a touchdown. Second down and 10, New Orleans. Earl Campbell. Campbell just powering up to midfield for a gain of about 4 yards. It'll be third down and 6. And there is Gary Hogaboom. His numbers in the first half, he was 9 of 15 for 93 yards. His counterpart, Richard Todd, was 4 of 10 for 70 yards. He had a touchdown and 1 interception.
Oh, they'll get a little bit nastier as it goes along.
Dexter Clinkscale, who came back after his injury, apparently the 5 that he bruised has tightened up, and we are told he will not be back here in the second half. Third and 6. Todd.
Lindsey Scott, when he came from Georgia, was noted as a big play receiver. You see he's running the cross pattern here. And I think he got a little excited. He felt that, hey, I got a chance to score. He's been in the league 3 years, and he's never scored a touchdown.
He was Everson Walls, the man who tripped him up. New Orleans on the prowl one more time. They're at the 37-yard line of Dallas, first down and 10. Campbell, Gajan trying to lead him over the right side, and this time Big Ed Jones is there defensively and gets help from John Dutton, and even Bruni got into that.
Hey, that's right. And when you get Dutton and Bruni making tackles, that's a pickup. We got this thing going.
I tell you something, they shouldn't be running at Ed Jones. Early in the game, they tested Ed, and he penetrated right away. The few times they've gotten good running yardage on his side of the defense, they bounced outside. So if I was the Saints, I'd keep running to my left on the other side of the Cowboy defense.
Campbell got 1. It's second down and 9. Gajan tripped up. That was Hageman that time that tripped up Gajan, but he sprawls for a gain of a couple. It'll be third down and about 6.
That was a good move by Hageman. He kind of went under the blocker there. Sacrificed his body for the good of the team. You know, it's maybe a little early to be talking about this, but the Cowboys sitting in the position they are in. If they don't win this game tonight, man, they're in a lot of trouble. If they win it, they can stay close, play Indianapolis next week, then St. Louis. But they really pretty well have to win this ballgame.
And they have the Giants in there, too.
Oh, yeah, the Giants.
Well, if they win it, they'll be tied for first place, wouldn't they?
Third down and 6. And Everson Walls played Lindsey Scott absolutely perfect.
And he also ran a better route than Lindsey Scott that time, and that's why Richard hit him.
That'll bring up fourth down, and let's see what we'll have. We're going to have the punter. No, we get the field goal kicker. It's Morton Anderson.
That's right. Morton's going to try it again. He's hot tonight. I saw Randy White grappling a little bit back there. You can watch Randy White on almost every play, and somebody looks like they're holding him. He got mad that time.
Well, Anderson had a 49-yard field goal earlier. Going to try to break his
This will be
best.
a 50-yard attempt. And this would be the best this season for Morton Anderson.
He did it again.
Distance.
He did it again.
And he gets it through. So the Saints, with a lot of enthusiasm on the sideline, they've had trouble with Dallas over the years. They have a 20-6 lead. We'll be back.
There's a style in your life no one could ever deny. You're on your way to the top, and along the way you've always known just who you are. Where you're going, you've always known it. Where you're going, it's Michelob.
Where you're going, it's exceptionally smooth Michelob.
Where you're going, it's Michelob.
Introducing the first affordable 4x4 built tough enough to be major motion. The 1985 Nissan Standard. Nissan's lowest sticker-priced 4x4 with more combined power and torque than any other leading standard compact trucks. Nissan 85, the new standard of 4x4s. Only the price isn't tough.
Come alive, come and drive. Major motion.
It's your Datsun dealer.
Saturday on CFA College football, the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame battle 9th-ranked LSU. Or number 3-ranked Texas takes on the SMU Mustangs Saturday on ABC.
The Dallas Cowboys in trouble once again. Their troubles really began at the end of last season. Blown away by Washington, blown away by the 49ers, the Rams in the playoffs. They've struggled through the early season. Flag is down as McSwain is down at the 20-yard line. And while they work out this penalty, I will tell you that we've been in touch with San Diego. Kellen Winslow right now is under surgery for a knee injury that he sustained today in the Raider game. Wes Chandler has a bruised knee. We don't know how severely that was bruised. A bruised thigh, rather. And as the indication is against Dallas, as it usually is on a kick. And Pete Holohan, the other tight end, who's having a great year for San Diego, has a sprained ankle. So it was a devastating loss, not only in terms that it was ever so close for San Diego, but also in terms of physical injury.
Now, how long did it take you to make that sign?
That was Danny, not Dandy.
Here you go, Mike.
Danny.
First down, Dallas, near their own 10-yard line. Hogaboom.
Run.
Drills one to Crosby that he had to catch in self-defense.
That one was going.
That was smoking, but he had to get it in there. He was looking for Tony Hill. He was well covered. And Crosby will have the first down. There's Morton Anderson.
He said, hey, it's easy. It ain't easy being easy, is it, Morton?
So Cosby playing on very sore knees tonight gets the first down for Dallas. Gets them away from their 10-yard line.
He's seen the whole world.
From the other side. Inside looking out or outside looking in?
He actually got to see it both ways. Look out, kid.
Hogaboom is buried inside the 15-yard line. Lots of folks there. Derlin Moore, one of the damaged Saints playing inspired football tonight, was there. Jim Wilkes was also there.
There's a little flag down on the other side of the field. More than likely, though, it's...
That's at the line of scrimmage.
See Dallas applauding.
And the Saints offside. Tom will have to readjust that play, I think, because he had already sent the next play in. So the sack is negated and the loss.
Offside. Defense, number 57.
Ricky Jackson on the blitz. Just a little premature. Those linebackers like to time it out. They start guessing and speculating on the snap number. So instead of 2nd and 17, it's first down and 5. Dorsett.
All right.
And Dorsett out over the 35-yard line. He'll have first down Dallas.
That looks like the Washington Redskins play where they threw that little fake and let Riggins come behind him. Bring the two big guys from the offsides. You see it?
They do a good job. When Tony takes that step, what it does, it gives a better angle for these guards to come around and block the linebackers. They try to suck all the linebackers in so they can get better blocking angles on them. And Tony does a good job of picking his way through there.
That was Peterson and Posderick, the right guard and tackle, that led that play.
At the 36-yard line, first down Dallas. Hogaboom. Cosby is held to a pickup of 3 by a good tackle from Russell Gary. That'll bring up second down and 7.
5 of 12 for 84 yards, and you're ahead by 14.
Now, when you run the ball 191 yards in one half,
that's the answer.
Why even bother throwing it?
Well, that's a good point.
Second down and 7. The Cowboys near their 38-yard line. Picked off.
There you go.
Dennis Winston. He'll take it in easily.
Way to go, Dirk.
Now you might hear the Danny Whites.
Oh, you're going to hear a lot of them. Hogaboom was hit.
Trying to get it to James Jones, and Dennis Winston had Jones covered perfectly. Stepped in front. 43-yard New Orleans touchdown.
And it appears that Hogaboom was shaken up. I know his feelings were hurt, but he may have been hurt somewhere else, too. Posderick helped him off.
Look at it again. It was Hogaboom trying to squeeze one into James Jones out of the backfield. Winston, the former Steeler, right there.
Look at his helmet. Now, the thing that the insiders on the Cowboys that always say we don't want to be named, the biggest flaw that they say Hogaboom has, he hasn't learned how to look receivers off. He goes to that #1 receiver and stays with him. Gives the defensive guys an advantage. And there you go.
Anderson drills it through, and the Cowboys are letting this one get away from them. Or New Orleans is taking it away from them. And Gary Hogaboom obviously shaken up. They're looking at his hand.
These days, when you're pumping your own gas, nobody's going to ask to check your oil. That's your job. And Pennzoil is the oil for the job. When you're around golf course machinery as much as I am, you know you've got to check the oil to keep that engine protected. And you know you've got to use a quality oil. So when you check your oil, and you should, ask for Pennzoil.
Pennzoil, quality protection. Ask for it.
Radio Shack's having a great sale on the TRS-80 Model 4, $400 below the original price. It has a huge library of educational programs.
And lots of games. I do my personal and household budgeting on it. You can't believe the money we're saving.
I'm even teaching myself to program. And the Model 4 is expandable at Radio Shack's low prices. Best of all, it's on sale now.
Save $400 on Radio Shack's TRS-80 Model 4. Now only $5.99.
They were looking and are looking at Gary Hogaboom's hand. Danny White is up, warming up on the sideline. The crowd is all of a sudden stirred. They started to cheer as Danny White got up. Meanwhile, they continue to look at Gary Hogaboom. All that while the Saints have a commanding 27-6 lead. Anderson to kick off. Gary Allen is deep with Chuck McSwain. And they'll kick that one once again from 5 yards deeper. Anticipating that we are probably going to see, and there's Dennis Winston, the former Steeler, who has turned into quite a force for New Orleans, although not having the greatest year this year.
Situation.
There's Danny White. If I could just give you his numbers, I'm pretty sure we'll see him, Don.
Yeah, good.
He's played twice this season in relief in games that had got away. He came in against the Cards 2 weeks ago, drove the Cowboys to a touchdown. He came in against Washington, took them in, threw a touchdown pass there. So for the season, he's 18 of 28. 1 touchdown and 1 interception.
No saves, huh?
As I mentioned earlier, he replaced Roger Staubach in '79. 3 out of 4 years, he took the Cowboys to the NFC title and, of course, was the focal point with Gary Hogaboom of the big controversy that developed here in Dallas. First, by those fans who wanted to see him go to the bench and Hogaboom come on, and then by the fans that felt that Danny White was playing with an inferior team. So we shall see. He has a great job in front of him.
He's in a no-lose situation right now, which is a nice place to go in.
Anderson once again, and exactly the same spot. They'll back it up 5 more. As a matter of fact, they will not.
Gary Hogaboom's hand you see there, close up, so evidently it was a jammed finger, thumb, whatever. Happens a lot. Probably hit it on somebody's helmet. They've got it wrapped. I would suppose it's wrapped in ice.
I didn't see that contact made. I was watching Dennis Winston step in front of James Jones, and right now Morton Anderson is really having his problems.
Well, I think what he did was just that. You've seen it so many times. He came when he delivered the ball. He hit one of the guy's helmets or the shoulder pads in front of him.
But you say he's not in a he's in a no-lose situation, Don. I don't agree with that when you consider that this Saints team is second in the NFL in sacks. They came into the week with 28 sacks.
Oh, well, you're talking about losing something else,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, your boy can lose.
He can lose his hat. Well, that might be. But it is a tough situation. You know, you don't want. You know, I was introduced tonight, and I only heard 2 or 3 says we want Morton. I mean, they don't forget.
All right, there will be an option now for Dallas. Anderson drilled that one out of bounds, but they get a straightaway kick, and Gary Allen takes it out over the 30-yard line. So we have good field position for Dallas, and we have Danny White coming in the game. Listen to the crowd.
It's got to make Hogaboom feel really good, doesn't it? You got him.
Many of the same people that were booing him a few weeks back.
Absolutely.
At the 34-yard line, Danny White's the quarterback. The setbacks are Dorsett, 33, Ron Springs, number 20. Dorsett. And Dorsett pecks along the line and finally gets about 3 out to the 38-yard line. Hit there by Jim Kovach. Tony Dorsett has started to come on over the last couple of games. He is still not been able to get his rushing average up over the 4-yard marker, but he had 81 last week. He had 91 2 weeks ago.
But he was over it the last few games. The problem has been they've been behind like this, and they've been forced to throw the football.
Second down and 6. Dallas. Danny White's first attempt. Yes. And Danny White, his first attempt is a first down shot to Mike Renfro. Renfro was well covered out there. Dave Waymer was right with him, and Danny White, who is not renowned for a powerful arm, put it out there pretty much on a string.
That's pretty well where it had to be, too, wasn't it? He didn't have much leeway there. It was pretty good coverage. Good concentration there by Renfro.
First down, Dallas. They're at their 46-yard line. Renfro and Hill are the wide receivers. Doug Cosby, playing on a sore knee, is the tight end. White overthrows Renfro. Never known for great speed. You'd have to just about hit him in stride to connect on a fly.
I almost think that Renfro may have been forced out of bounds earlier up the field. I saw the referee go back and pick up his hat, so I think if he caught it, it would have been an illegal catch.
He also had Doug Cosby coming right across the middle, wide open.
Here's the only sideline you see. It just forced him to the outside. He went out of bounds, so anyway, it doesn't take away from the ball. Was a little bit overthrown.
It'll be second down and 10.
I would concentrate on Cosby, try to get something going down the middle.
Well, you had him on that last play.
I'd try to find him again. Nope.
And the whistle sound. Play continues, however, as Ricky Jackson nails Dorsett. And Ricky Jackson, he is so quick.
He's a heads-up player, too, Frank. And you're going to run a play like that, and you're trying to fool the linebacker. I think I'd run away from Ricky Jackson.
Now, there are no flags, so there will be a loss of 4 yards. And Danny White now watches the change of defensive personnel for New Orleans. They bring in their nickelbacks. And Danny White.
You see Tony going
a very long yardage.
See Tony going off, Frank. You know, I'm talking about, you know, I would try to get him the ball. I don't care. I don't know whether he's a good receiver or not, but I just would try to get him the ball. I'd leave him in there, let him catch something.
He's second on the team this year with 27 catches coming into the game. He caught 50 last year.
Third down, 15. Danny White will be sacked at the 32-yard line. Bruce Clark. And that will bring up fourth down, a loss of 8.
It wasn't quarterback that time, was it?
Bruce Clark, Derlin Moore, both playing with minor nicks tonight. Derlin Moore finally starting to get semi-healthy, but he's been in and out of most of the games the Saints have played this season at nose tackle with either an ankle or a knee problem.
And I think that's the main reason teams have been able to run against the Saints, because
did not go with the fair catch, and he's buried, and a flag is down. 44-yard punt by Danny White. That's good distance and good height. There is a flag down, and it came down right after the contact.
They may not have given him enough room to catch that ball.
Well, I tell you,
Face mask.
5
yards.
Carl Howard, number 21 for the Cowboys, did an excellent job of fighting through 2 defenders. There he is, 21. We didn't see him fight the 2 guys to get here, and he grabbed the face mask.
Carl Howard. So the Saints get 5 out of it. They'll have a first down and 10 at their own 34-yard line. We're midway in the third quarter.
To compete takes more than speed alone. Introducing the Xerox 1048 Marathon Copier. It can be custom designed to meet all your copy needs. To reduce, collate, even staple. And it's the first mid-size copier that will automatically give you a 2-sided copy of a 2-sided original to beat the competition coming and going. To run your own marathon, call Team Xerox today.
Brad, where are we going?
To Sears to get you a new battery.
A Die-Hard?
Uh-huh. And it's the lowest price of the season, just $49.99 installed.
Oh, thank you.
and I saved $20.
Okay, big saver. How about tires?
Well, Sears has the biggest savings ever on weather-wise steel-belted radials, low as $34.99 installed.
Wow!
You're pretty peppy.
It's confidence, Brad. Sears installs it.
There's more for your life at Sears.
Tuesday, John Ritter and Three's a Crowd at its new time, 8/7 Central.
Give me that.
We're back in Texas Stadium in Irving, Texas, just outside of Dallas. The New Orleans Saints dominant tonight over the Cowboys. They lead at 27-6. They have a first down and 10, the ball at their own 34-yard line. Richard Todd hands off to Earl Campbell, and he sprawls out over the 35-yard line for a gain of a couple. Randy White was there to make sure there was no more than a couple. It'll be second down and 8. Interesting, George Rogers made an appearance for maybe 2 series early in the game, and after that it's either been Wayne Wilson or Earl Campbell that have been in there at setbacks, and as we can see, we have an injured New Orleans Saint.
I'm trying to spot.
Not going to speculate. There it is Chris Ward, the former Jet for so many years, who is down. So once again, the Saints have suffered an injury in that offensive line. They can ill afford one.
Get a good look at the first Nissan Maxima SE and find a lot of car. An all-new fuel-injected 3-liter V6 engine, track-stable front-wheel drive, electrically adjustable shocks, more performance than you'll ever need. The new Nissan Maxima SE. A car built to perform on the track is a lot of car for the road.
Major motion from Nissan.
It's your Datsun dealer.
McDonald's presents the 15 hardest words to say.
2 all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, donuts, sesame.
Beef and beef and all 15 words. Never get hurt, you start to say it.
Pickles, onions, on a sesame seed.
Then you got to take a bite of one. It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's.
All beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, donuts, sesame seed.
Bun, bun, bun.
Well, let's take a look at number 72, Chris Ward, former Outland Award winner from Nebraska. But you see that knee, Ohio State, I'm sorry, but you see that knee go under. But Karen, that's his wife, who is the daughter of Jim Brown.
How about that?
He walked off the field, so he appeared to be okay.
He did. He walked off, and he was not even limping when he left the game. Second down and 9. Okay, Gaijan. And Gaijan, who has been a major factor here tonight, gets out close to the 40-yard line for a gain of 3. It'll bring up third down and 4 for New Orleans.
Gaijan must have been a little winded, you know. The guy run that far. He's never run that far in his life. I saw Gil Bird, the defensive back from San Diego, go about 100 yards with an interception the other day, and he was out of the game for a couple of quarters trying to get his wind back. Guys aren't accustomed to running that far.
Third and 4, New Orleans. Wayne Wilson now, the setback. Good receiver. Certainly much better receiver out of the backfield than Earl Campbell. He's number 30.
Beautiful play.
Draw play looks to be a set play for Richard Todd, and he gets the first down for New Orleans. They're in Dallas territory near the 48-yard line.
Well, Don, whose responsibility is this?
Well, there's not anybody in the middle, so whatever it was a call play because you can see him go back. You know, they've perfected this since I played. This is the old hook slide into the middle. They're smarter. They've gotten smarter to do that sort of stuff. They get in there. We used to try to run over them.
You were tough. You were tough.
A power runner.
I can show you all the zippers on his body to prove how tough he was.
That's right. Stupid. I think I got stupid written across my face.
5:19 remaining in the third quarter. It's first down and 10 for New Orleans. Earl Campbell with bowling over tacklers as a flag goes down, and Campbell goes down with first down yardage. Michael Downs and Bill Bates were trying to wrestle him to the carpet. They were having a tough time. And the holding call will back the Saints up. We're going to pause 5 seconds and allow our stations to identify themselves. Back at Texas Stadium, it's the Saints and the Dallas Cowboys getting it on.
Oh, my God.
Who is that guy?
That's stupid written across his face.
It looks like Mustafa Hamsho.
Oh, a nice honorary captain, and you can see where he got the blue eyes.
He looked like Hamsho, you know, after Hagler finished with him the other day.
Oh, man.
First down and 20, New Orleans. They've dominated this game. 191 yards rushing in the first half alone. They lead 27-6, and this is Wayne Wilson. And the Cowboys further aggravated by the fact tonight that they have lost their starting quarterback, Gary Hogaboom. Danny White is now the operating quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. That's Chris Ward. They're working on the right knee on the sideline.
He says, I'm okay, yeah.
Aaron, I'm all right.
They got Bill Bates in there, defensive safety. Bill's been out most of the year, too, with some injuries. He was the guy that made that last tackle.
Winkscale had a bruised thigh that tightened up, so Bill Bates is in there now defensively for Dallas. Second down and 18, New Orleans. Todd,
wait a minute,
trying to get it to Hobie Brenner. That was Bill Bates who got into Hobie Brenner, I think, a little early. No, I know he got in a little early.
Yeah.
Bill Bates is not one of your sophisticated ball players. He really isn't. He believes the game is still for hitting. And anyone that gets near him, that's what he does. This was costly.
Defensive pass interference, number 40, first down.
Bill Bates got in too early on Hobie Brenner.
She says, no, that's not pass interference. Now, you know she knows what that is. Oh, boy.
A first down for New Orleans at the 38-yard line of Dallas. 4:23 remaining in the third quarter. Dallas looking as though they might fall into a second-place tie with the Giants of Philadelphia at 4-4. Earl Campbell. Earl Campbell cutting back across the middle, not his big suit, and he runs right into Randy White and John Dutton. There's a loss on the play of a yard.
Look how much ground Randy covers here. Kind of gets tangled up there in the middle. That down the line pursuit. Got his eye right on Earl all the way through.
You know what he did? Shows his great skill and instincts. When that guard, Kelvin Clark, pulled in front of him, rather than penetrating, which he probably should have done, he sensed what it was, and he came down the line of scrimmage with a perfect angle to cut Campbell off when he had to make the cut back. Randy White, a real great one. Second and 11. Campbell again. Campbell is met and straightened up by Bill Bates.
Well, I tell you what, if they're going to run the football, they better stay away from Too Tall's side, because Too Tall and John Dutton on these last two plays have done an excellent job. The play before it was Dutton that turned the play in, and on that play, Too Tall was just beat his man.
They just strip everything in front of them. Often they're not the ones who make the tackle, Dutton and Jones, but they certainly wipe out any kind of pulling guard or offside tackle.
But New Orleans still has the ball, and the clock is still running.
And they're looking at a 3rd and 9. Wilson. The ball is loose. And still loose. The Cowboys get it back. Wayne Wilson tried to cover it after he bobbled it at the line of scrimmage. Bounded forward, and the Cowboys cover. And the crowd, who remembers so many of the Roger Staubach dramatics, looking for another one, this time from Danny White.
Well, they call a beautiful play, a draw play. Too Tall once again was stunning. He came down inside, was able to hit Wilson. Wilson caught the ball up, and Cowboys came up with it.
It was Michael Downs who covered for Dallas, and they'll have a first down and 10. The ball near their 25-yard line. They trail 27-6, 2:47 in the third.
Who said you can't have it all? Who said you can't have pinstripes and rock and roll? Who said you can't get ahead without losing your soul? Who said you can't taste life without it taking its toll? Michelob Light. Oh, yes, you can. Michelob Light. Oh, yes, you can. Michelob Light. Oh, yes, you can. Have it all.
Michelob Light. Super premium taste in a less filling beer. Who says you can't have it all?
Who says you can't work for somebody and live for you? Who says you can't have your life and love it too? Michelob Light, oh yes you can. Michelob Light, oh yes you can. Michelob Light, oh yes you can. Have it all.
Tomorrow on Monday Night Football, one of the NFL's most exciting rushers, Eric Dickerson and the Los Angeles Rams, square off against the Atlanta Falcons, live at 9 Eastern on ABC.
There's Michael Downs, very timely recovery. Downs, of course, coming up with Everson Walls back in '81, a pair of free agents that had great rookie years. For Dallas, 27-6, they trail. They have a 1st and 10 at their own 25, 2:47 remaining in the third quarter. Could have been an automatic. If so, it was a good one. Tony Hill, single coverage, and he'll get 8 yards out of it in front of Johnny Poe.
Well, Tony's been out of action for a few weeks. You learn in this game, you put a move right away and you get going somewhere, because the longer you wait, the more the other guys are going to be there.
Draws the crowd, doesn't it?
They mark it out close to the 34-yard line, so it'll be 2nd down and 1. Tony Hill, who caught 9 last week for 134 and a losing effort against Washington, has 5 tonight for 60 yards. Dorsett, 1st down yardage. Beautiful running along the line of scrimmage. Didn't get all that much out of it. He gets the 1st down, however, covering about 10 yards to get 6.
Got another one down. Looks like a St. Clair's hurt.
Boy, may have had their share of injuries. This is Bruce Clark, the defensive end, who has been in trouble all this season. And they are running out of people to put in this football game. Frank Warren comes in for Bruce Clark. We'll get a report on him. I'll remind you, CFA college football action continues as the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame face the number 9 ranked team in the country, the LSU Tigers, and Southwest Conference powers clash as number 3 ranked Texas will take on 6th ranked SMU. Check the listing for the game in your area on CFA college football Saturday, and of course you'll see it live 3:30 Eastern time here on ABC. And we're going now to New York and Jim Lampley.
Frank, last week all of us had a great deal to say about John Elway and the Denver Broncos. You three on the air, me off the air, riding back to the hotel after the game. Elway, one of the players who went down with injury today, but not before completing 12 of 23 and a good performance, including that touchdown pass to Steve Watson. Some viewers may have seen Clinton Sampson go down as a result of a terrible hit to the head. This one delivered by Mike Kennedy of the Bills. You can see the direct hit right there. It was a terrifying scene as Sampson's teammates gathered around. He was taken away, braced in a stretcher. But the report tonight from Buffalo General Hospital is that Clinton Sampson has some loosened teeth, a concussion, but no neurological damage, and that is good news indeed for Sampson and the Broncos. They beat Buffalo 37-7. Back to the Giffer.
Thank you, Jim. And the good news is that Bruce Clark is coming off, apparently not too shaken. He has been replaced by Frank Warren. Meanwhile, the Dallas Cowboys have a 1st down at their own 41-yard line. They're rapidly running out of time. 1:45 remaining in the third quarter. They're down 27-6. Dorsett is straight up the middle. Gets 6 yards. It'll be good. 2nd down and 4. Whitney Paul was there defensively. There is Randy White.
Randy says, score some points, and then we'll try to hold them. We got to have some points.
Let's go back early in the game. If you weren't with us, Billy Cannon, the All-American from LSU, who went out with an injury. It looked to be a rather severe injury. He was diagnosed as having a jammed neck. We understand now that he is in the hospital, resting comfortably. There seems to be no complications. 2nd and 4. Flags are down. Danny White covers. Danny White is finding much the same problems that confronted Gary Hogebone and a very tough, fired-up New Orleans defense.
In motion.
Well, you know, these are things just subtly that over the years you have not seen from the Dallas Cowboys.
They just seem to be sputtering in so many different areas. It's we sometimes fail to. Here we go.
Illegal procedure. Center declined.
Sometimes we fail to realize that, you know, hey, this, by the way, is a team sport. And although number 11 right there is kind of on the spot, there's just so much you can do. That time it was a miss, looked like me, maybe a miscount, and that happens sometimes too. A new quarterback comes in, but Danny White's not going to turn this thing around, nor is anybody going to turn around. They got too many problems in too many places.
It's strange when you look at the offense. They'll go a series where they appear to be able to run the ball well. And then you see guys open. Sometimes they throw the ball well, but they just can't seem to put it all together offensively. I think I can point to the major problem on defense, and I think their linebackers are just not getting the job done.
Well, they've also been really trying to do that. They've been drafting linebackers for the last 3 or 4 years. They thought they had a couple of actually first and second round draft picks at linebackers that were going to come in and play. And for whatever reason, they haven't. So there's a lot of the system, the management, the scouting system has been under scrutiny here. They say, hey, Gilbrandt's not drafting the players. Coaches, he's too old. The game has passed him by. There's a lot of excuses they're looking for. What the right answer is, I'm not so sure.
And even with the loss tonight, they'll be 1 game behind Washington and St. Louis in the NFC East. 2nd down and 9. Dorsett and Springs, the setbacks. Springs in motion. Danny White's in deep trouble, and it was Bruce Clark who came back into the game, was only out in 1 play after being shaken up a couple of plays ago.
All right, now, whose fault is that? I mean, you know, the guy goes back to pass. He's got no place to stand, no place to throw. So you can't really say it's the quarterback all the time. There's a lot of things. We mentioned the offensive line. Howard Richards was the #1 draft choice that has developed slow. Rafferty is maybe the most consistent guy there in the middle. They've got Kirk Peterson. That's the big, strong man. But they don't have Posderick is new. Those guys are the guys that are not really opening holes for Tony Dorsett. They're not open. They're not really protecting. So a lot of the blame has to go to that offensive line.
And Herb Scott has been injured all year. Jim Cooper was lost for the season.
That's right.
Last Monday.
Cooper was probably the most consistent lineman that's performed all year long. He's gone.
3rd down and long. Danny White from the shotgun. Trouble again. And down he goes. The blitz was on. Ricky Jackson and Jim Gethers were both there. Jim Gethers getting the sack.
Never thought I'd see this in Dallas.
Remember that? The Aints?
The Aints in New Orleans.
What was it? 1979. The Saints get their 32nd sack of the season. That, by the way, ties the Saints for the league with Seattle and Kansas City. So they're doing something right. Danny White to punt, and here's Jeff Groth. Final seconds of the 3rd quarter. And Danny White with a short kick that takes a New Orleans bounce as time expires in the 3rd quarter. The Saints on top 27-6, and we'll return for 4th quarter action after this from our local stations.
Tomorrow, on Call to Glory, Jackie becomes a woman.
Did you feel different?
And an Air Force grease monkey
I've got it under control.
sends her into a tailspin.
When did you, start going out with guys? Jackie's waiting for a date.
Relax. A date?
Call to Glory. Tomorrow at 8, 7 Central.
I'm Senator Robert C. Byrd. In this building, experience and hard work make the difference. Without influence, without experience in government, a senator cannot deliver for his state. And that's why it's so important to elect J. Rockefeller senator. He has what it takes to get things done. And working together, we can give West Virginia as powerful a team as any state could have.
To make Washington work for West Virginia, make Rockefeller senator.
Let us take you for a trip into the next century, a trip where you'll enjoy the results of years of research in modern technology, a trip where you'll enjoy an American vehicle that has front-wheel drive, high technology, European-type suspension, and just the perfect size. A trip in a 1985 Buick Century. It's everything you want in one package and thousands of dollars less than Toyota Cressida. See for yourself at your Better Buy Buick dealers. It'll be new for a long, long time.
Forbes Regional Health Center Auxiliary presents Auxiliary Friliery, a shopping extravaganza and luncheon October 26, 10:30 to 4 at the Edgewood Country Club.
Joe Negri, involved for you.
New Orleans heading for a 400-yard game tonight. And keeping in mind the Dallas Cowboys have given up 400 yards to their last 3 opponents, the Redskins, the Cardinals, and the Chicago Bears. And New Orleans has 304 as we enter the 4th quarter. New Orleans heading for a 400-yard game tonight. And keeping in mind the Dallas Cowboys have given up 400 yards to their last 3 opponents, the Redskins, the Cardinals, and the Chicago Bears. And New Orleans has 304 as we enter the 4th quarter. Gajan, that's got to be big Ed Too Tall Jones.
Well, they can say what they will, but Ed Too Tall Jones is playing all-pro caliber defensive tackle right now. Now, let's take a look at these stats. Look at that. Halftime, 191 rushing.
Now look at this one. And it mounts. And you know, basically, the defense you're looking at, with the exception of Harvey Martin over defensive right end, just about what it was last year. There are no changes other than Thurman being replaced by Ron Fellows at the corner. George Rogers back in the lineup, and Rogers booms his way out close to the 44-yard line. He'll get 6 out of that to bring up 3rd down and 4.
Beginning to wonder about old George. I think he started feeling like an orphan.
There was nothing wrong with him. We saw in the first couple of series, and then that was it until just now in the opening moments of the 4th quarter. And with the 3rd down and 4 confronting the Saints, they bring him out.
He can't be happy.
In other situations, this, of course, the passing situation for Richard Todd.
I got a feeling the only reason you're seeing him is because of the lead.
Tries to get one into Hobie Brenner, and he can't handle it. It'll be 4th down. Hobie Brenner out of USC. 4th-year man. They got him 3rd round. Spent a lot of time out there blocking for Marcus Allen. Brian Hansen comes on. Gary Allen drops for Dallas. Had a beauty if you weren't with us early in the game. He kicked from midfield and put it out inside the 1. Got this one blocked, however. This should be 6. Or very close to it. Don't leave it there. And it was McSwain, I believe it was 28 who I think it was, who tried to get it into the end zone. McSwain covered it. Victor Scott tried to pick it up on the run.
Well, you can see they're trying to block it right off the top. Everybody's coming.
There he is right there. Gosh, I can't see who that is. Look at this. Now, this is the way things are trying to go. You can't do what without the what.
Norm Granger tried to pick it up in stride to get it in the end zone. You can't really blame him. Cowboys, however, now have 1st down goal to go, so they're in good shape to get the 6 that Granger tried to get. Here's Dorsett. End zone, and Tony Dorsett shortens the lead. So the Dallas Cowboys now have turned things around somewhat.
Somewhat.
They still have a long way to go.
Tony D had him a good hole to go through this time, didn't he?
They had a lot of big guys in front of him. Just about everybody's there. All he has to do is pick his way through, and Tony's one of the best at that.
Nice little cut. Followed a good block. That was Glenn Tittenser, and actually got a pretty good block out of Ron Springs that time, too.
That was McSwain on the block punt, and it was Granger who tried to take it into the end zone. Rafael Septien for the conversion. So Cowboy hopes remain alive at 13:21 remaining in there in the 4th quarter. Cowboys down 27-13.
IBM presents You Make the Call. Lynn Dickey of the Packers is chased by the Steelers into his own end zone. Dickey attempts to escape, but can do no better than to break the plane of the goal line with the ball. Now you make the call. Is this a safety?
Some people think the IBM PC Junior runs only about this much software. The truth is, PC Junior runs over 1,000 of the best, most up-to-date programs, including powerful new cartridge programs like Lotus 123. And with PC Junior's new memory expansion attachment, it can run well over 1,000 more programs. PC Junior from IBM, the computer that's growing by leaps and bounds.
What call did you make? In order to be ruled other than a safety, the entire ball must be beyond the goal line and back in the field of play. This is a safety.
Cowboys trail by a couple of touchdowns. Rafael Septian now to kick away as Kenny Duckett is dropped for New Orleans. Number 83, he's back there with Tyrone Anthony, number 22. This will be Anthony from the 7-yard line. All right, Anthony, Tyrone Anthony. Dennis Thurman is the last Cowboy. He plays it well and drops Anthony, but not until Anthony brings it all the way back to the 30-yard line of Dallas on a 64-yard return.
Let's see him here. Goes right up the right side, get a good block, pick his way through.
And nobody there.
And there's no one there. Nice juke right there.
That's on Raphael.
Pushing there by...
Say, well played by Dennis Thurman.
It certainly was. USC graduate, right, guys?
That's right. Played it intelligently.
Uh-huh. Well, they were right back in it there for a minute.
Hopes were high for a moment.
Yeah.
A lot of empty seats here at Texas Stadium.
Your buddy Ricky Jackson limped off after that last kickoff. He threw a good block. I don't think he was hurt terribly bad, but he did limp off a little bit. Have a chance to rest for a little while.
Tim Wilson comes in, number 45, used to play for Bum Phillips at Houston. And then went out to the Raiders. Saints got him as a free agent as George Rogers hammers over the right side for about 3.
George may not be able to bounce outside like Earl Campbell, but I don't think there's many backs that's ever been around that can run inside the way he runs inside. It amazes me sometimes how he goes into the crowd and just pops out for 3 or 4 extra yards.
Well, I remember his rookie year, he came up, all those credentials, sometimes they don't always pan out, but he promptly led the National League in rushing with over 1,600 yards.
Breaking Earl Campbell's record.
As a rookie. 2nd and 7. Rogers once again. Breaks it back, gets close to the line of scrimmage, but he'll lose a yard on it. I want to remind you, live at 10:30 a.m., 9:30 Central Time, next Sunday, from New York City. Boy, this is a lot of fun. Over 18,000 runners compete in America's largest marathon field, led by defending champions Rod Dixon and Greta Weitz in the New York City Marathon. And it really is fun. They all line up with that Verrazano Bridge, and away they go. 18,000 plus. ABC Sports will present live exclusive coverage from start to finish next Sunday, October the 28th, beginning at 10:30 Eastern Time. 3rd down and 8, New Orleans. We're in the 4th quarter. Less than 12 minutes remaining. We're at the Cowboys, 28-yard line. Richard Todd tried to get it to Lindsey Scott. He was there, and Richard put it in the turf.
First bounce didn't count, did it?
Isn't it something you think of 18,000 people running in a race, and you consider yourself a decent athlete, and you know if you ran in that race, you'd be last.
I wouldn't finish it. I think that's the real thing about marathoning is that, you know, so many of them say, I finished it.
Our director, Chet Forty, has an idea. Take a limo.
Yeah.
45-yard attempt by Morton Anderson. He's hit 2 big ones from way out, and this one is no good. And listen to the crowd. They are calling for the Cowboys to pull it out. It'll take a lot of doing.
The brand ST, King Cab ST, top of the 85 Nissan line. From performance cockpit to new smooth side strong box, nothing in the class is in its class. Power steering, power stereo, power brakes, and room. Standard.
There's the straight.
The Power King Nissan ST. This is one tough truck you can take anywhere.
Come alive, come and drive. Major motion from Nissan.
At your Datsun dealer.
The enemy. Rain. A mere 1/8 inch can float your car off the road. Thus the rationale for Vector, Goodyear's unique all-season radio. So advanced, its crisscross tread actually pumps away water to help more tire and your car stay on the road. The Goodyear Vector. It simply performs like no other tire in the world.
Again, if you joined us late, Gary Hogaboom started the game tonight in the third quarter. Gary Hogaboom trying to get a pass off, damaged his right hand. It's been packed in ice. We don't know the severity of it, but Danny White is the quarterback with 11:35 remaining in the game. The Saints over the Cowboys, 27-13. Cowboys first down and 10. This is Dorsett. Looks back inside, gets out over the 30 to the 31, gain of 3 to bring up 2nd and 7.
Listen up here, Captain Dan.
I'm listening.
This telecast is presented by the authority of the National Football League.
Yay.
It is intended for the private use of our audience.
Of course.
Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the National Football League is
prohibited.
All right.
That was only average. That was not bad.
It's teamwork.
All right. Tony Dorsett on the night. He has had to work hard. 17 carries, 72 yards.
Oh,
Danny White doesn't like his 2nd and 8 call. Uses what could be a valuable timeout a little later down the road. They're down to 2. We'll be back at Texas Stadium in a moment.
There is a bear in the woods. For some people, the bear is easy to see. Others don't see it at all. Some people say the bear is tame. Others say it's vicious and dangerous. Since no one can really be sure who's right, isn't it smart to be as strong as the bear? If there is a bear.
Gentleman from Ralph's Computerama.
Thank you, nurse. Hi, men. Have I got a surprise for you? The NCR personal computer.
NCR makes a personal computer?
Uh-huh. Look at those graphics. Surprised?
Not particularly.
NCR has been in computers for over 30 years.
Would you expect it to network with your other computers, Mr. Know-It-All?
We'll take 6.
No, 8.
8?
Isn't that what you expected?
8's nice.
A better computer. It's exactly what you'd expect from NCR.
Tomorrow on Monday Night Football, one of the NFL's most exciting rushers, Eric Dickerson and the Los Angeles Rams, square off against the Atlanta Falcons, live at 9 Eastern on ABC.
Brian Gifford along with O.J. Simpson, Don Meredith, watching the Dallas Cowboys trying to get back into this game, a game that they need to stay in a tie with Washington and St. Louis on top of the NFC East. The Saints trying to stay close in the NFC West to the San Francisco 49ers.
Look out.
2nd down and 7. Danny White. Great effort to get the ball to Tony Hill. Danny White under a lot of pressure. He had to get it between 2 defenders, and he did just that. First down, Dallas.
Stepped up at the right time, too, didn't he? He saw him back there. Had a little pressure coming from his left. Stepped up at the right time. Tony Hill made a good move. That ball was well thrown.
Let me ask you something, Don.
Yeah.
Right before the timeout, we went to commercial.
Yes.
Danny White came to the line of scrimmage. He looked at the defense, and he didn't like it, and he called a timeout. Now, why wouldn't he call an audible or something?
I really don't know that, but I think it's an indication that they're really pretty confused on the offense.
Ball at the 47-yard line. Cowboys with the first down and 10. Danny White. Again under pressure. Looking for Renfro. That will be picked off by Waymer. Dave Waymer. Danny White wanted to go to Renfro earlier. He couldn't do it. He was under pressure from Warren, had to step up, and by the time he got back to Renfro, Waymer had caught up with Renfro.
That's absolutely what happened, and that is one of the reasons that We talked about earlier, you don't want to follow that receiver alone. Danny had to step up, gave the defense, they knew where he was going to throw that ball. They could just turn loose and go. And the ball was not zipped in. Good, actually very good defensive play. Yeah, you did it.
There's the veteran in that secondary, Dave Weimer. It's an important turnover. New Orleans out in the field, 1st and 10. The ball at their own 34-yard line. They send towards Rogers over the right side. It gets a couple of yards to bring up 2nd down and 8. And now the Saints, with a tremendously effective running game, can start to think definitely about working on the clock, which is ticking down close to 10 minutes.
Now, this is He-Man time. You know what? This is when they used to come to me. You know, in Buffalo, the 4 or 5 games we had a lead in the fourth quarter, you know, in my career. Then you hand it to the back and you just say, eat up the clock.
They called you He-Man?
Yeah, He-Man.
Then you got a scoop.
And Gajan held to 1. It'll be 3rd down and 6.
It takes a He-Man to go in there when you know, when they know that's what you're going to do.
Yeah. Did you ever volunteer for that job?
Yeah, I wanted the ball.
Give me the ball.
Yeah, give me the ball.
Give me the ball.
And I only did it 4 times. It's only about 4 times in my career we had a lead at this point.
We remember.
I remember reading about it.
Oh, I was there that final day. Just when you got to 2003 against the Jets. You wouldn't consent to an interview until you got all your offensive linemen surrounding you.
He's not stupid.
He's a He-Man. 3rd and 6, and that could have been picked off. And Richard Todd, I think, made a great effort to avoid it. Victor Scott was playing it perfectly, and the rookie from Colorado, had he picked it off, would have taken it in for 6. Richard Todd not having one of your barn-burning nights.
He's the only starting quarterback in the National Football League to be completing less than 50% of his passes.
Well, maybe he doesn't know the Cowboys. You know, he's never played against the Cowboys. This is his first time ever.
No, I didn't know that.
Strange, isn't it?
Is it really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Brian Hansen to punt. Gary Allen is deep.
I got to stay alert. That's
one of your facts?
This is Gary Allen. They went for it. Norm Granger was there, and Chuck McSwain. McSwain blocked the last one, and it was either Granger or McSwain that are going to get called for roughing, and it will keep New Orleans in possession of the ball.
Bring the He-Man back.
McSwain is 35, and Granger is 28.
They came close.
Hansen puts the foot in it. Granger.
He got him pretty good, too, didn't he?
Well, if you're going to do it, be positive about it.
Why don't you need a kicker?
It was Norm Granger, rookie out of Iowa. New Orleans keeps it alive. 1st and 10, the ball near their own 43-yard line. Richard Todd looking for Scott. He's covered. And run down from behind. Mike Hegman, the offside linebacker, chases Todd down after a gain of a couple. Mike Hegman, been a starter over there since '79. Placed, remember Hollywood Tom Henderson? Teammate of Ed Jones when they both were playing for Tennessee State.
75.
They give Todd 1 on it, so it'll be 2nd down and 9 at the 45-yard line of New Orleans. Rogers, Gajan, Campbell, all over 50 yards rushing tonight. And this is Wayne Wilson. And Wayne Wilson right into the arms of Ed Jones.
I tell you, Too Tall is on his way to the Pro Bowl.
He's playing a pretty good game, isn't he?
It would be the 4th in a row for him.
We saw him earlier this year, and he was just as effective.
You know, he plays that strong side of that 4-man front, and they really don't get all the attention because he basically is playing run. Teams seem to run right-handed, and he is thinking run before he thinks pass rush.
And you'd be surprised how many passes, because of his height, he forces the quarterback to throw in an angle he may not want to throw in.
And he deflects so many of them. 3rd and 9. Cowboys, safety blitz. They bring everyone. Bill Bates gets to Richard Todd, who unleashes the ball, but he pays for it dearly. That'll bring up 4th down. He tried to get it to Duckett, and now Richard Todd is holding his leg.
Richard.
Been a tough day around the NFL today.
Really, you know, Frank, I was down there earlier, and it is amazing how big those guys are. And I'm not really trying to be funny. They really are. They may weigh 260. We had 260-pound players, too. But they just weren't put together the same way. Look at this. Maximum blitz. Jim Jeffcoat, 77. He's being held. Look at the guy holding his jersey there.
That's Bill Bates who makes the contact. And you're always so off balance as a quarterback when you release that ball. And you can see it was a Cowboy who really actually sprawled over him. And this man, I'm sure we'll be seeing on the next series as Richard Todd is now coming off the field. He's walking by himself, but he is limping.
You know, I think you're right, Don. You look at players today, they've been working on weights right through high school. They got all these new techniques, and
year-round.
They may look the same weight, but they're certainly built different.
Yeah. I'm really surprised that more people are not hurt, because just running into one of those guys has got to cause you some bruises.
Brian Hansen to punt. Gary Allen is back for Dallas. Hansen has hit a beauty.
That was not a very smart move.
Gary Allen from the 3-yard line. Had he let it go, what Don was referring to, it in all probability would have gone into the end zone. The Cowboys would have had it at the 20 rather than their own 13. That was a 54-yard effort by Brian Hansen. So again, tomorrow night we'll be in Atlanta. The Rams and the Atlanta Falcons going into tomorrow night's game. The LA Rams are 4-3. Atlanta is 3-4. That's one they're going to have to get if anyone's going to come close to the 49ers. The 49ers winners again today. They are 7-1. We'll take a look at it from the end zone, anticipating at 7:28 remaining in the game, and the Cowboys down 27-13. The Danny White's going to put it in the air.
You see him drop to those middle zones, little screen pass.
Dorsett. Dorsett does his thing out to about the 18-yard line for a gain of 6. It'll be 2nd down and 4. Ricky Jackson there defensively, as he so frequently is for New Orleans.
Appeared to me that Derlin Moore may have been shaken up a little bit, too, for the Saints that time. He's still down. One knee. There's Richard Todd.
One gutsy football player. He is down, Derlin Moore. But he has been playing when you suspect a lot of players would not be out there. He's in trouble with the knee and ankle throughout the season. And this time they're going to be looking at the left knee.
Yeah, he's a senior citizen on this team, and he was the New Orleans NFL Man of the Year last year. Won the NFL Arm Wrestling Championship. And they are definitely a different defensive football team when he's healthy and playing.
Isn't it the truth, though? The knee has no respect for strength and size. And has no role in this game. Kenny Stabler loosening up on the sidelines.
Yeah, he
takes a lot to loosen that up, too.
You know, I saw him down on the field earlier, and he is skinnier than I've ever seen him. And they give a lot of credit to his new wife, who's kind of a health food sort of lady. She's gotten him eating good food and taking good care of him, and he looks pretty good for the way he looks.
Yeah, well, as you said once, Howard Hughes, I think he got skinny first, too. First the hair, then he got skinny. Then the fingernails.
You know, we were trying to ask this morning, we were talking about all the quarterbacks. Dave Wilson came in there. Dave Wilson was going to be the really hot shot around there, and Dave hasn't played hardly at all. And they wouldn't give us very many straight answers as to why.
How about not at all?
Well, how about not at all? Maybe that was the answer.
2nd and 4. Dallas. And Renfro gets the first down. Out close to the 38-yard line, even though they drill him back inside the 30. 13-yard pickup, and they'll mark it at the 33.
This is a nice shot. You'll see that Renfro comes in from the left part of your screen. They're dropping back into those zone coverages. But watch Danny. He's going to throw to a spot right over the middle. Renfro cutting into the middle. Over the linebacker's head. Zip. Watch this little move by Renfro. He says, hey.
This is where Renfro really shines, too. He can find those open spots. He does not have blazing speed or the kind of speed that will take him all the way, but he will find the opening for you. First down and 10. Danny White hangs one up. Tony Hill that Tony Hill, I know, was gritting his teeth when he went up to get because Waymer was zeroing in on his back.
Tony Hill, actually, when they had all the quarterback controversy, he was saying the difference between White and Hogaboom is that White throws many more medicine balls. And he says the medicine ball is the one when you go up for, when you come back down, you're going to need some medicine. And that was one of those medicine balls that floats across the middle. But Hogaboom on the sideline, we see right there, with the jacket on, still got his hand wrapped up.
Derlin Moore back in the game defensively at nose tackle for the Saints. 6:02 remaining in the game. The Saints leading 27-13. Danny White looking for Hill again. Each time Hill is going double coverage. He is the man that can break a game up.
Where is Cosby? Now, you want Cosby down the middle now, don't you? They've gone to the outside twice. Hill's drawing double coverage. Let him go back out there again. Either that or send that back over the middle. Got Tony. No, that's James Jones coming back in for Tony Dorsett.
That'll bring up 3rd down and 10 for Danny White. And they tell us that Richard Todd has a sprained knee. And we anticipate.
Cowboys look like they run an offense and they just hit and hope. They're looking in the hat and they'll pull out something and hope it works.
We anticipate Kenny Stabler coming in for the Saints. Danny White on 3rd and 10. There he is. Tony Hill tries to stay in bounds and get more out of it, but he's out at the 49-yard line. 1st down Dallas, 16-yard pickup.
Well, Tony's come back healthy. He's had a decent day, but for them to win, they're going to have to hit him going downfield on some longer pass. As you see, Tony is one of the better receivers at beating a man at the line of scrimmage and runs a nice little simple out pattern against his own defense. Looking for a place to run.
Yeah, he got in the middle there, didn't he?
At Long Beach, California. Went up to Stanford, broke all those records of Gene Washington. Has been the Dallas Cowboys leading receiver in terms of yardage for the past 6 years. He's a game breaker. Dorsett.
Speaking of game breakers,
yeah.
And a good open field tackle. Russell Gary, one of the finest.
Tony was disappointed, I think, there, don't you, O.J.? He thought he could zip that outside.
I think he's, you know, when a back is late in the game, you're down this much, you're thinking about breaking it. If it was a close game or if they had a slight lead, I think he'd have stayed inside there, got maybe 7 yards and felt good about it. But at this time of the game with 5:24, 23, you're down by 2 touchdowns. You're thinking about putting the ball in the end zone.
For the Saints, they've got to think, get double coverage on Tony Hill. He's the one that can do it in one shot. Renfro, ball is loose.
Caught it.
And was it picked off? No,
almost.
Incomplete.
Yeah, it almost appeared as if it didn't hit the ground. It hit a receiver falling.
I think it did.
Frank Watlet had his hands on it, but it's incomplete. It'll bring up 3rd down and 7.
Hey, those receivers are pretty well covered back there. That secondary is doing a pretty nice job. And they're getting some pressure on Danny, too. So the front four is doing some good.
White now 7 of 12, 65 yards. We'll look at it from the end zone. Let you watch the coverage develop. Danny White will look over the 3rd and 7 from the shotgun.
He's got the 4 defensive linemen, 4 down linemen. Here they go, a little trick in the middle. Danny's zip right in there to jump.
And it's complete.
Springs.
Out of the backfield, Ron Springs. Last year was the leading receiver in the NFL for running backs.
That was a beautiful pass there because Ron was covered, and Danny just nailed it right in there, tacked it to his chest.
You were talking earlier, O.J., about the 4th quarter. You like to run more in the 4th quarter, you said, because you didn't think about it. You just go for it.
Well, that's why I don't think the Saints will be able to rotate George Rogers and Earl Campbell, because I think the better backs would like to run the ball more. They get a feel, they stop thinking, and they just start reacting as the game goes on, and they're better runners late in the football game.
1st and 10. We'll watch again from the end zone. Cosby gets about 7, steps out of bounds at the 31-yard line, killing the clock with 4:19 remaining in the game. The Cowboys down by 2 touchdowns and a pair of conversions. They need to get one in quickly.
It's been since 1979 that the Dallas offense failed to score a touchdown, and so their offense has not scored a touchdown tonight.
Oh, yes, they did. Tony George said they didn't get in on that block punt.
Yeah, you're right.
But it was really a defensive touchdown. You're absolutely right. They put it down on the 2-yard line, I believe.
2nd and short for Danny White.
Howard Richards.
And was there movement on the part of the Cowboys? I think there was. Howard Richards looked as though he bobbed up just before the snap.
And what a difference. That's, you know, you're late in the game. It's 2nd down and 3.
Ball start. Number 70, offense.
Yeah, this is the kind of stuff. They don't seem to be very disciplined, very organized, very coordinated. You don't make a mistake like that. You know, it's just, there's no reason for it.
3 times they have bobbled the ball moving away from the center. They've had the timeout wasted.
The Cowboys once didn't make mistakes like that. I played on teams that made a lot of mistakes like that.
Well, but the Cowboys really don't. That's their whole deal. They believe they don't make any mistakes. They're not what you call you take them on rough and tough kind of team.
2nd down and 7. Danny White. Renfro. Yes, Renfro has a first down inside the 20. 4:14 remaining in the game, and Danny White now starting to snap the Cowboys around.
And that was well timed. I mean, you can't ask for a better throw and catch on that one. Renfro never really did slow down. Took out again. And here's Renfro on the bottom of your screen. What's this, O.J.? He comes down. Then he got a little pressure. Tries to make that move to the outside. See, when he cuts out, the ball's already in the air. Has to be right there. He didn't have any room to play with.
Good Waymer, good veteran defensive back, was not going to let Renfro get deep on him. So he laid off, and Renfro made a good cut. Had Waymer turned around, he gets the first down. 11th play of this drive. Started at their own 12-yard line. White, a lot of time. And tries to get it into the end zone.
It's really funny.
Good coverage back there. Watland was back there. Also, Russell Gary.
Really funny. In my mind, before that play in the Dallas offense is called a zig out, wing zig out. And it's one of the plays that's been in there 20-yard line on end play offense. What I'm trying to say is when you get on 20-yard line, here you go. When the 20-yard line and you go in, the zig out. That's off the post move. He goes down, go back to the corner. It's been there since 1960.
Tough against double coverage.
It's funny. You're going to look at White's statistics and say he had a great game, but you got to realize the Saints are playing very soft on defense, trying to protect a nice lead.
And it's far from over. 2nd and 10.
Not too far. Look out.
Beautiful
screen to Spring. He just tripped up, or he could have taken that in. Good defensive play.
That's your guy.
Ricky Jackson.
Ricky Jackson once again. He just has a nose and a sense for the ball, and a flag is down late. I think they hit Danny White late. Whitney Paul was on him, and it could be an automatic first on Rutland.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, number 51.
Whitney Paul hit Danny White late after he released it. Roughing the passer. With that will be an automatic first.
Whitney say he didn't do it. Well, you're supposed to let go of it. He knows the ball's gone.
Danny didn't want to dance. First down, goal to go. Dallas near the 7-yard line of the Saints. 4:02 remaining in the game. Yes. Dallas has 2 timeouts.
I say, well, they got to score here to get back in the football game. They got plenty of time if they score here.
Both of you guys are terribly optimistic. You know that? I'd say he's going to try.
James Jones comes in to join Ron Springs. That would be your receiving offensive unit for Dallas.
Oh, gosh.
Dog it. Movement once again.
That time was Cosby, I think.
Dallas has done so much tonight they hurt themselves.
Ball start, number 62, offense.
Well, I'm sorry, Doug.
Holdinger.
Sorry, Doug. I thought I saw you move.
That'll back the Cowboys up 5. It'll still be first down and goal to go. Only now they'll be at the 12-yard line.
I just think your really good teams don't make those kind of mistakes. You might, somebody's going to make a great play to beat you, but you just don't beat yourself.
Renfro goes left. Tony Hill goes right.
There you go.
Great shot goes to Renfro. He holds on. Good coverage, but that was a beautiful pass from White, hitting it dead stride.
That ball was right there. Is absolutely right. The old down and in pattern. You try to get somebody to the outside. You'll see Springs go to the outside. And there he comes back on the inside. Pulled a linebacker with him. Renfro was right open.
And what a time for Danny White's 100th career TD pass. good move by Renfro. Good coverage. He was right with him all the way, Johnny Poe. But you can't do anything about that.
Really can't. Ron Springs ran a little out route. That pulled the linebacker with him. Opened up just for a brief moment on the inside, and Danny put it right there.
Septien to bring the Cowboys within a touchdown and a conversion of a tie. Steve Plur is the holder. We did not anticipate that, but he gets it down. Septien gets it through. And the 3:59 remaining, the score. The Saints 27, the Cowboys 20. Don't go away.
What would you call a Zenith that puts a 25-inch picture in a 19-inch space?
Smart, real smart.
That's capable of 178 channels, including cable.
Choices are smart.
And for continuous color balance, a computer brain.
A brain is smart.
Plus parental control that locks out channels you don't want.
Now that's smart.
The Smart Sets, Advanced System 3 from Zenith, designed with Zenith computer technology. When you want everything
smart.
Nissan 300ZX Turbo. You know the car. But do you know what it's like to drive it? Now you know. Once you get inside a Z will get inside of you.
Come alive, come and drive. Major motion from Nissan.
It's your Datsun dealer.
The kind of troubles the Cowboys have had getting the ball to their wide receivers. That is only the second touchdown they have completed to a wide receiver this year. Danny White connecting up with the son of Ray Renfro, former all-pro receiver with the Cleveland Browns, Mike Renfro. And I'll tell you, a lot of Cowboy fans left this game. There are a lot of empty seats. There were a lot of no-shows, obviously, because of the debate early tonight. There were 14,000 no-shows. Then a lot of the fans left, and now they are back into it. Cowboys threatening to pull this one out.
I tell you, the Saints have gotten a little lackadaisical on offense. Sort of deja vu of the last time we saw the Saints. They dominated the game against the Jets late in the season last year on a Monday night game, and the Jets in the fourth quarter came back and won the football game. Don't forget Stabler is going to come in and quarterback this Saints team.
If you're going to have a quarterback trying to work on a clock, it might as well be Kenny Stabler.
That's
He can
right.
do it both ways. Raphael Septien to kick off. Tyrone Anthony is deep along with Kenny Duckett. This will be Kenny Duckett from the 2-yard line. Duckett all the way across the field to get back out to the 17. That's a 12-yard return.
Lockhart, number 56, is the middle linebacker that a lot of us thought we'd see play this year. He had a freak accident in practice and broke his thumb, but he's still on the specialty teams, and he was the guy down there. He plays with some enthusiasm, O.J. He says, hey, let's go.
Here comes Ken Stabler in his 15th year this season, 31 of 61. Couple of touchdowns, 3 interceptions, passing at just under 51%. Last week, alternating through the first half with Richard Todd, and then finishing the game in the second half. Stabler was 17 of 34, 148 yards with 1 interception. Third year with New Orleans. After several years at Houston and, of course, 10 great years with the Raiders. Kenny Stabler gives the ball to Rodgers, and the crowd is with the Cowboys en masse.
Now, I don't know if Bum Phillips had planned to play Earl Campbell in the second and third quarter and play George Rogers in the first and fourth, but it seemed as if the Saints were a better offensive team when Earl was in there. Earl was able to do some improvising on a few plays, bounce outside, and get yards where George would not have gotten the yards, and there's Earl on the bench.
Second down and 9. Growth in motion. Rodgers tripped up over the 20-yard line. He'll get a couple out of it.
And there's a
time
flag
remaining in the game. A flag is down. Holding against New Orleans.
They might not take that. Third down and about 8. I guess a 10-yarder, though, is hard to get.
Hard to turn that one down.
Yeah, but they're going to think about it because they need the ball back. You don't want to give them another play.
They'll take it. Had it been a 5, perhaps not. Or had it been closer to the goal line where the penalty would have been half the distance, maybe not. They'll take all of this.
Holding, number 62, offense.
Well, John Hill, the center, holding.
Let's not forget the Saints have never won on Monday night. Yeah, let's don't forget this is not Monday night.
New Orleans had 191 yards rushing in the first half. Here in the second half, Dallas has shut them down to 44. Second down and 18. Wayne Wilson in the backfield now as a setback for Kenny Stabler. Stabler, he likes to bundle.
Oh!
And Ruth is complaining that he was tripped. The official was right there with him, but he was not. He was looking ahead.
It was not one of those.
Well, we saw this happen early in the game against the Cowboy receiver, and the flag was thrown.
There's Ron Fellows looking back,
throwing that arm out there. Whoa!
And you'll see Groth go down.
He just kicked him in the heel.
No flag. It'll be third down and 18. What remains of this crowd, and I would speculate about 3/4 of the crowd that showed up here tonight, on their feet cheering their Cowboys. Stabler fumbles the ball. It's loose in the end zone. The Cowboys are there.
Oh, no, I can't believe it.
It was Randy White who hit Stabler. Knocks it loose and then covers the ball.
Oh, I can't believe that.
No, it's Jeffcoat. Jim Jeffcoat, second-year man out of Arizona State.
But it was Randy White that made the tackle, though, Frank. You're right on that, I think.
He put the hammer on Stabler, did Randy White. Scramble for the ball, and Jim Jeffcoat gets the touchdown.
It's plays like this that make most of the teams around the league really not like Dallas, you know.
The defense has performed well here in the second half. They gave up 191 yards rushing in the first half. They have now blocked a punt, resulting in a touchdown. They have now sacked Stabler, resulting in another touchdown, and Seption is on for the tying point.
Well, when your defense can't stop them and your offense can't beat them,
you're in trouble.
Well, you score with your defense and with your special teams.
At one point, this game was 27-6. That was in the third quarter. He's at the left of your screen. He's working against Louis Oubre. Jars the ball loose.
Do you see that hand swipe that he had? Almost
Ed Jones couldn't get it. Now watch 77 over the top of Jones. That's Jim Jeffcoat.
Oh, boy.
Louis Oubre was forced into action tonight because of an injury to Chris Ward. Kelvin Clark moved out to tackle. Oubre playing with a bad turf toe. They were not expected to play him tonight. He had to play tonight, and Randy White really took advantage of him.
Jim Jeffcoat's high draft choice they got a couple of years ago. They expected some pretty big things from him. He was the #1 draft choice, as a matter of fact. But when Randy White didn't show up, Don Smerrick was forced to play inside with Randy White's hole. This was before the season started. Got another look at this play. Look at Randy White just immediately.
He just fanned him.
Oh, he got right in there. Too tall, almost got it. And then Jeffcoat comes in.
Well, the pressure's on the New Orleans Saints offense. They sort of shut down from the middle of the third quarter on.
They did for a fact.
Duckett 83 and Tyrone Anthony deep for New Orleans.
Point I was going to make about Jeffcoat, many people think that Don Smerrick would be starting in that position had Randy White showed up on time.
Septien, beautiful kick. Takes Duckett inside the end zone. And they'll hold him short of the 20. So now is He-Man football for New Orleans.
But Dallas is finally fired up. The players are jumping around. They're patting one another on the back. They've been kind of listless all night.
Well, I would tell you one thing. I think the Saints let them back in this football game. The Saints shut down on offense from the middle of the third quarter on. They started playing what I thought a little too conservative football. They thought they had won.
Cowboys have really reached the benchmark. They have not scored more than 2 touchdowns in a game this year. They have 3 in this quarter. Stabler, he was hit just as he let it go.
Oh, they're fired up, aren't they? And Jeffcoat, Jones.
One has to wonder if this isn't something that could turn this Cowboys season around. If they can win this game tonight, and it's not altogether sure they're going to, of course, but they really have the momentum on their side at the moment. This could be a season turnaround right here at the midpoint of 84.
They've really been looking for something, Frank. You're right. And it might mean that Danny White's going to be the #1 quarterback again, too.
Clock stop, 2:40. Second down and 10. The Saints at their own 18. Draw play. Gaijon. He gets a couple, maybe one, to the 20. It'll be third and long for Stabler. The prevent defense. 4-0 comes in for the Cowboys. That means Smearick in for Dutton. Bill Bates comes in, plays at one linebacker. Vic Scott comes in. Dennis Thurman goes to safety. And the down 4 linemen will just lay their ear back and come at Kenny Stabler.
And for my money, it's been the down 4 linemen of the Cowboys that has turned this game around for them.
Cowboys have got to let the 2-minute warning run out. They only have 2 timeouts remaining. They did not want to use one to stop one before the 2-minute warning. And that's what remains in the game, and that's the situation. Third down, long yardage for Ken Stabler. The Cowboys are really smoking. Cowboys showing blitz. Now, they drop out of it. Bob Bruni calls off the blitz. Stabler at automatic. He gets it to Groth, nevertheless. And Groth to midfield, splitting Ron Fellows.
What a really good experience call by Stabler. You see him shift his guys back. He saw the blitz come and said, hold it a minute, we can do this.
Then they called the blitz off, and yet he was still able to get the completion. A lot of strategy being played on that one single play. Stabler, quickly.
Good throw.
Didn't even look to Gaijon, but he gets it complete, and Gaijon stops the clock out of bounds at the Cowboys' 46.
He
1:30 remaining.
He had no choice. Randy White beat his man at the line so cleanly. He was in Stabler's face before he knew what was going on, and Stabler just threw the ball out there.
The Saints have 3 timeouts. And they have a hot field goal kicker tonight.
Remember that play, because that was a 3rd down and 9 where Stabler utilized his, what I call a really good experience.
We've been watching him for 14 years. First with the Raiders, then with the Houston Oilers, now with the Saints. There's a little bit of magic left in this 15-year veteran. Second down and 5. Almost picked off.
And could have been almost pass interference, too.
Lindsey Scott complaining that it was, as Everson Walls was covering ever so closely.
Yep, it was certainly close. Let's take a look at the end of the play. Now, that's Lindsey Scott turning in. Not supposed to be touched by the defense. Well,
was he?
Well, they said he was going for the ball, maybe.
Yeah, I guess so.
Third down and 5. 1:26 remaining in the game. We're tied at 27-27. Latest game ever to start in the NFL has a look of overtime. And again, the strategy played out. Dallas changing the defense. Stabler changing off. Over. Oh, Kenny. Michael Downs. Kenny Stabler under tremendous pressure. Jeff Coate and Randy White were there on Stabler. He hung one up for grabs, picked off by Michael Downs. His 2nd interception of the night.
He wishes he had that one back, doesn't he? He got some pressure, had his maximum blocking team in there. Look at Randy White running through people like, hold it. Goodness alive.
Downs on the night, 2 interceptions and a fumble recovery. The Cowboys have 2 timeouts. 1:20 on the clock. They have the ball 1st and 10 at their own 30-yard line, and they are really steamed up.
They are fired up. Look at those linemen right before they got in the huddle. They're throwing arms around.
Septien is good from anywhere around 50 yards. He's kicked a 51-yard this season and a 52-yarder.
Look out.
Oh, Ricky Jackson was first there, jumped right over his man.
And Ron Springs.
Loss of 8.
And they take the lead for sacks in the NFL.
This game has really turned emotional.
He did it again.
Danny White batted up in the air. New Orleans. They did not get it. Scramble for the ball. They would have been within field goal range. Going up with it was Kovac and Dennis Winston. Neither one could handle it.
They almost knocked the other one away from it, didn't they?
59 seconds remaining.
3rd down and a bunch.
Dallas will think very carefully. They, at this point, will not go with the risky play, one would think, because they would rather get into a tie situation. Latest game ever to start in the NFL, and it is getting Nana time in the East. But for those of you who remain with us, you've seen some truly emotional football here in the late going from Texas. From the shotgun. Third down, long yardage. Danny White, down he goes again. This time hit at the 10, drilled back to the 8. Ricky Jackson is there once again. The blitz was on. Also, Jim Wilkes.
The Saints call a timeout, looks like.
The Saints should have called a timeout. They should get the ball. Ray Randy has been punting. They should get the ball in excellent field position, and they have 2 timeouts.
I think Danny White was shaken up.
6th sack now for the Saints. Well, look at Ricky Jackson. He's played a great game. He always does. And you'll see Wilkes come into the shot. There he is.
Well, they doubled him in. And Danny White's a little woozy back there. He's the punter.
He is the punter. There is Growth. He's inside Dallas territory. And the Saints will have 2 timeouts remaining. And they have a kicker in Morton Anderson that should be good from anywhere inside the 50, at least certainly for a good shot at it.
Dallas got the ball on the 30. The ball's now back on the 10, 9-yard line. They lost 3 plays and lost 21 yards.
At stake for Dallas, a 3-way tie in the NFC East with Washington and St. Louis. St. Louis a winner today over Washington. And for this man, yet another victory. He's the 2nd winningest coach of all time.
Well, we're looking at a field goal, but if anyone watched Neil O'Donohue kick today, we know that's not a cinch.
White just does get it off. It's a beautiful punt that hangs up there, takes Growth to midfield. He executes the fair catch at the 48-yard line with 46 seconds remaining and 2 timeouts for the Saints.
Now, that was a good pressure punt, was it? Think about that. You're back in your end zone.
Shaken up from 2 consecutive sacks.
And kicked the ball 60 yards.
With Paul Whitney, or Whitney Paul, right in your face.
Kenny Stabler on once again. Another dramatic moment for this 15-year veteran. Seems to thrive on it.
Well, I know they said somebody block Randy White. Please.
And they said, we don't have anybody that can.
Stabler.
He tried to pull it back. That's a fumble.
Dutton covers it. No, they're saying incomplete.
Oh,
His arm was in motion.
Oh, no.
Big Ed Jones got right in his face. He looked like he tried to pull it down.
He did.
And it's ruled incomplete.
Oh, that's a lucky break. Here he comes. Look at it again.
2 men on Randy White. Right side of your screen.
Oh, yes.
He just dropped it. It came out of his hands.
Yep.
Well, brace yourself, Art McNally. Phone will ring tomorrow. 2nd down and 10. 39 seconds remaining.
The old pump fake he was trying to execute there. More pump than fake.
6'9" Ed Jones right in his face. He knew he could never get it over him. He's setting up pass protection like a punt block. Out of bounds is Lindsey Scott. I'm not so sure of that call on 2nd and 10 when you're looking for a 3-pointer. I think this crowd is exhausted. All of a sudden there is pause in the continuous cheering of the Cowboys.
This 4th quarter's really been dramatic, hasn't it? They've had some excitement.
The passing unit. The Saints is in the lineup. Kenny Duckett, 3rd wide receiver with Growth, and Lindsey Scott and Wayne Wilson, number 30 in the backfield. Look, they're setting up almost like they're protecting for a punt. Stabler. Yes, the interception is good. It's Ron Fellows. 29 seconds remaining. Cowboys still with 2 timeouts. Intended for Growth. He was open. Stabler floated it out there, and Fellows picked it off. The zip isn't quite there.
Yeah, he just a little too much zip. He overthrew his receiver.
Hey, that was nice concentration on Ron's part, wasn't it? Look at him. He knew where that sideline was, too. Those guys have to play it like the same thing. Receivers out there, they got to have both feet in.
Dallas now inside their own 34-yard line.
2 decent pass completions, and they'd be in field goal range.
They need to get somewhere around the Saints' 30-yard line for a bona fide attempt by Septien. Danny White took his eyes off it at the last second. Incomplete.
That was one of those decent pass receptions they needed.
Timeouts remain. I keep repeating it. Vitally important. 25 seconds remaining in regulation play.
You don't see that happen a lot. Doug's usually a very reliable receiver, and that ball was well thrown. That was about, what, the 50-yard line? Maybe he'd have picked up another 5, so they've been on the 45. We got an overtime, guys.
Looking at it right in the face. Tony Hill, the dangerous one, top of your screen. Dorsett. Cowboys trying to change up on New Orleans. Dorsett gets about 3 yards. That's it. And Dallas expends one of their 2 remaining timeouts. They're down to 1.
That was one of those plays that would have worked. They would have said it was a brilliant call.
You're absolutely right. I don't think you try that play unless you have a Tony Dorsett, maybe a few other guys around the league, but you know, more often he could go 60 yards with it.
And two timeouts at the time.
Yeah.
You called it, even though they're down to 1 now because it didn't work.
21 seconds remaining.
3rd down.
There's the brain trust.
Well, they had to do it, or either get back in this game in unusual way tonight, but they've gotten back into it.
They need a couple of consecutive completions. And they need one of them to stop the clock because they're down to 1 timeout.
It's only fair that the latest game to start the National Football League should wind up in overtime.
Especially since we have to go to Atlanta tonight.
Oh, hey.
Situation once again, 21 seconds remaining in a game that at one point saw New Orleans leading 27-6 in the 3rd quarter. 3rd down and 9. Dallas at their own 36-yard line.
I think it must have something to do with Meredith being the honorary captain tonight. They brought him back to inspire this team, and it seemed to have worked.
I did inspire the defensive team, didn't I?
From the shotgun. Movement again. Was there contact made?
I think there was that time.
Sterling Moore appeared to step across and make contact with Rafferty. Yes.
Now that should have a little bit to do, I would think, with the play they had called, but maybe not.
So rather than the 3rd and long, it's going to be 3rd down and 3.
Oh, those defensive linemen want to pass rush, and the Cowboys, they set up in that offensive line. They don't put their hands on the ground, and sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Cowboys have 21 seconds to get with some 20 yards. And that one was almost picked off, intended for Tony Hill. Waymer defending there for New Orleans. 4th down.
Well, I got a feeling that
we'll be punting.
Yeah, I've got a feeling that next time they hook 'em horns, the next time they get this situation, they have a comfortable lead, that you may see Earl Campbell play a little longer for this Saints team. They took him out, I guess, at the end of the 3rd quarter, and they haven't done much offensively since that time.
Danny White with a clutch punt a few moments ago at 60 yards from his own end zone. It's another beautiful punt.
Yeah.
They'll just let this one go.
All right.
And it's down inside the 5-yard line as seconds tick away. Hustling down there was Carl Howard. 5 seconds on the clock, and we are definitely looking at overtime. There is Richard Todd, who sprained his knee in the 4th quarter early on, and Stabler has come on in relief.
There are 2 terrific punts by Danny White. We talk about all the passing and so forth. I read something in the paper here. He's been working out some sort of a karate technique on kicking. Did you read that?
Yeah, he said that his coach knows nothing about punting, but he knows about contact.
That's right.
55-yarder. That following a 60-yarder by Danny White.
That's getting that ball up there.
Well, I think I'd fall on the ball.
I think they are. That'll be it. Let's go to overtime.
Overtime, of course, we'll have a 3-minute break. We're tied at 27. And they will flip a coin. And each team will come back onto the field, and they will have 2 timeouts remaining. And we like to alert all. Hammered along the ground and taken by McSwain. And McSwain out close to the 28-yard line where Dallas will take over first down at 10. Their first possession here in overtime. A reminder, coming up over most of these ABC stations, Weekend Report with Charlie Gibson. Topic will be the presidential debate. Dean Reynolds will focus on the debate. Rita Flynn will discuss Reagan. Brett Hume will discuss Mondale. And Francois Truffaut, a new wave French producer, has died today at the age of 52 of cancer. That on the Weekend Report coming up again over most of these ABC stations right after the game. 15 minutes, we're in sudden death. Both teams, 2 timeouts. Cowboys near their own 28-yard line. Tony Dorsett single setback. This crowd is almost exhausted from the emotion that transpired in the fourth quarter. And great move by Tony Dorsett. Works his way back to the line of scrimmage. That's it. He's covered there by Ricky Jackson, who's been all over the field tonight.
Well, the problem for the Cowboys at this point is they're going to have to find someone to come out and block Ricky Jackson, because I'm sure they expect the Cowboys to pass now. They've been bringing a back over to block Ricky Jackson. It hasn't been too effective. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a lineman come out and try to block him on this play.
2nd down and 9. Dorsett got 1. He is now 78 tough yards on the night, 20 attempts, 1 touchdown. Danny White. The Springs out of the backfield. Ricky Jackson was hovering all over him.
Looked like a
crowd didn't like it.
That was close.
He definitely put his left hand on Ron Springs' back. He didn't push him, so I don't know if they would call this interference. Let's see. He touched him, didn't quite hook him.
That's a pretty good move on his part. I thought he hit him more than that. That was a good move by Jackson.
No harm, no foul, you know?
Yeah,
3rd down and 9. This crowd absolutely drained. They were on their feet throughout most of the fourth quarter. Many of them had departed when the score was 27-6 in the 3rd. From the shotgun, Danny White. Hanging one up. That's a flag. There'll be a flag. It was Johnny Poe running into Tony Hill. Poe denying it. But Hill was trying to get back to the football, and Poe impeded his progress.
If there is such thing, this is the kind of pass that I think they almost throw and say,
number 25.
He's going to catch it, or they're going to interfere with him. But he really got in his way a little bit. I don't know whether you call it pushing him or not.
Well, they call it impeding his his angle to the ball, or his something to the ball.
Opportunity.
47-yard line. First down, Dallas.
To catch the spherical pigskin.
It was sure a close call, and you hate to see a game go over 4 quarters.
New Orleans
be
now
decided by a
penalized.
penalty.
New Orleans now penalized 13 times for 111 yards. There's not been a thing of Diddy, but a lot of emotion has been played out here, particularly in that fourth quarter. Tony Dorsett, single setback, tries the left side, and he runs into Dennis Winston at the line of scrimmage, and that's it.
They're really having a hard time running, aren't they?
And this against the team that came into tonight, bottom 14th against the rush in the NFC.
28th in the NFL. And there's only 28 teams, Don.
Man, you're quick. That is really good. The offense does not look too good.
Dallas, realistically, if they could get to the 30-yard line, they could be semi-confident of Raphael Septien. They right now are at the 47-yard line of New Orleans. 2nd and 9. Danny White, this time with a lot of time, and he makes it pay off, and he gets the ball to Renfro. One could consider they are now within field goal range. They have a first down. A 15-yard pickup. Good pass protection for Danny White. Renfro on a good pattern. Absolutely like it was drawn on the board.
Almost on all sides. You see the secondary men coming up. They're rolling into a deep zone. 44. Renfro looks to the inside and then just bounces out. That's an adjustment, I would say, on his part. I don't think he's going to run an out pattern that way.
And it worked because Danny White had a lot of time.
Yeah, he really did.
And the injured players, Derlin Moore, who has even gone out of this game, back in it, however. And Bruce Clark, Jim Wilkes, Ricky Jackson, they have to be wearing down somewhat.
Well, you're going to see some He-Man running right there. Oh, I'm surprised they're passing.
They should have seen some He-Man running.
Screen. Yep. Jones, and he's
loses yards.
Right at the 35-yard line. He'll lose 3. It was Derlin Moore who's playing a magnificent game tonight.
I'm sorry, but why wouldn't you expect to see a little He-Man running right there? Set him up for the field goal.
See, that's what they thought that they were going to do. That's why they did throw that He-Man running up there. They went to that little screen pass.
Well, I would say
still did about it.
If they had to kick the field goal from this spot, it would match Septien's best of the year, 52 yards. They are at the 35, figuring the placement at 7 yards.
I think I'd go for the touchdown.
Just looking ahead. Second down, 14. Danny White springs out of bounds near the 30-yard line.
It's about the line of scrimmage.
All right, Captain Don, what do you call now?
What is it, third?
Third down and 9.
Well, and 9, you're inside your field goal kicker's range, we would assume.
I think he's going to probably try to go for it, try to pick up his first down.
By throwing the ball?
Yeah. And I'd look for Cosby coming across
over the middle.
Yeah, that's where I'd try to go with him.
Oh, I think it's dangerous throwing the ball. You can get a holding penalty, or you can get an interception, or you can get a sack. I'd give it to Tony D.
Okay. Well, maybe they will on a trick play.
Yeah, one of those shovel passes.
On 3rd and 9. Danny White going to get a bunch of it himself, and he really pays for it as he gets to the 23, but he's well within Raphael Septien's range.
Dirk Winston.
Well, they lucked out of that one on that play. They had him covered.
And here comes Septien.
And Danny White does it with his feet.
Danny White paid the price. He knew that just a few extra yards would make it that much easier for this man, Septien. Tom Rafferty will provide the snap. The holder is Steve Pelluer, a rookie from Washington. And for the year, Septien has been pretty nigh perfect. His long for the year, 52, his career best, 53, and this will be from 41 yards out. Hit, solid, perfect. This one's over. It's history. The Cowboys come battling back. Not in a thing of beauty, but this could turn this football team around. They trailed 27-6 in the 3rd quarter. They battled back. They got a block punt. They got a sack of Stabler in the end zone. That resulted in a touchdown. And for this man, what do I have to do to win? They came in, fired up. They played superb football. They had 191 yards rushing, much of it by this man in the first half. And all of a sudden, it turned around. Dallas made their own breaks. And there's jubilation on the field at the moment. Many of the fans had actually gone home and left this game. And it seemed like that they had done the right thing. And for Septien on the night, 3 field goals, 37, 27, and 41, the winner. This ABC Sports exclusive has been brought to you by Michelob Light. You can have it all. By Nissan, who invites you to see the all-new Nissan Maxima, a world-class sedan that doesn't cost the world at your Datsun dealer. And by Radio Shack, the computer experts. And by AT&T. The more you hear, the better we sound. Once again, the final score in overtime, the Cowboys defeating the Saints 30-27. Remember, stay tuned for ABC News Weekend Report immediately following your late local news. Most of you on the West Coast, stay tuned for Ripley's Believe It or Not. Travel arrangements made through and a promotional fee paid by United Airlines. United flies more people to Hawaii than any other airline. Nobody knows Hawaii like United. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world as a leader in sports television. And we'll see you tomorrow night, would you believe, from Atlanta with the